Wednesday, December 18th, 2024, Idlewise Board of Commissioners meeting. It is 9 a.m. and we'll start with the approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the agenda. We should really decide how we're going to do this because...
Second.
second
Now
on
we can
discussing-
discuss
Yep,
it.
okay. So, when would you like this meeting to end today? Any idea? How much time do you think the whole meeting should take?
Including the ordinance discussion?
Yep. That's why I'm asking. And Doug has some stuff.
11:30 at the worst.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I'm gonna fool myself into thinking we actually can control this and get this by 11:30.
Of course we can.
We're sticking that stake in the sand. So, any modifications to the agenda? Are we gonna encumber anything today?
Yes,
And where will we do that?
we will do that. We can either do it under my commissioner's report or really anywhere.
I'm gonna put encumber when we get to you then.
Okay.
All right, so with that note, all in favor of approving this agenda, say aye.
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 And the next thing is the approval of the minutes at 9, still 9 a.m.
Yes, it is.
So the approval of the minute, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the minutes of December 11th,
Second.
2024. And this was a meeting that was actually held on Wednesday at the office
Yes.
because we heard the forecast for the Tuesday before it and it said ice and we decided to not come in the ice. Turned out not to be that icy, I guess, but safer than sorry. I have some stuff on the minutes I have to bring up. Does anybody else, do you have any notes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One? You're ready to go.
Okay. The first thing I have is Jeff was not present,
Thank you.
and he's listed up at the top
Sorry.
as being there.
Nor was Dinah.
Okay, neither
In
was Dinah.
spirit.
They have a way of doing that though.
What did you say?
Nor was
In
Dinah.
spirit.
You have treasurer Dinah Reese and Jeff DiMartino present. They weren't
I
there.
totally neglected that.
If I get this open, I'll
Lately.
also say the minutes may show where the meeting was actually held.
Yes, that they were at the office.
Yes, that's, I
Thank
know
you.
I had that. And where are my minutes?
Anything else, Nancy?
I have something about, under the admin report, I think you say something about the 2025 loan, and it should be the 2024.
Is there a bullet I can reference?
Yeah, A.
Thank you.
5A. Says 2025 TAN loan. Just change it to 2024 TAN loan.
Very good.
Okay. Yep, and that's all I had.
The only other thing I have was right at the end, just take out that to view the meeting, please click on the following link since obviously we didn't
Very
have any
Yeah.
Yep.
videotaping going on.
Okay.
That's all I have. All the other things have been mentioned already.
So you covered everything I would have said. I just have one note beyond what you guys said, and that is the vote on bonuses.
Yes,
I think that should be in the minutes here.
yes, yes, actually, I think it should be added.
Right after section 8, non-public session at 11:28 a.m.
So just put in to discuss bonuses?
We actually voted on them.
Yep,
Would you like to list them out? By the way, just briefly, I put it on Facebook to the property owners group, and the reaction was very favorable, thanking us, saying the DPW, the staff has done a great job, all positive. Don't let it go to your head.
No, sir. Never.
So can you just put that in the minutes, fill in the bonuses for the,
You want the actual amounts
Yep.
on it?
Yep.
Okay, so, because it's all part of the non,
we keep, right.
Yeah.
You could put it that we came out of non-public session and announced that we had a vote. And this is what the vote was.
all right? Okay, very good.
It was $1,000 for 3 of the employees and $300 for the new employee.
Yes.
And people loved it on Facebook. Okay, so with that, any other changes to the minutes? All in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the next thing at 9:04 is to go to approval of the manifest. And the first manifest we have is operations and payroll for $27,112.39. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve this manifest.
Second.
Aye.
Just moving right along.
Any discussion on,
Yes, just for my personal edification, the $750 paid to Treasurer State of New Hampshire, DAM, hashtag D149004. What is that?
That's the renewal, and you can see that it's not dated till January, so these aren't gonna be posted till January. Well, after January, when they cash it.
renewal of what?
What, I'm not, what is DAM? I don't
The
even
dam.
accept-
The dam,
The dam.
We talked about this last meeting as well.
I know, but I've not been
Yeah.
100% here.
Yeah.
Neither have I,
I never,
so.
so that's the fee we have to pay to the state
To the state for,
to run the dam for them.
yes.
We don't have time to get into that.
Okay, I thought we owned the dam.
We do.
But we're running the dam for them.
And we
We
pay,
pay
and
the
we,
fee for having the state inspect it to make sure we're not killing anybody
Okay,
with it,
okay,
Yes.
to inspect it, okay.
yes.
if you like
For
that
for
answer.
oversight.
I just made that up.
Just reminded me of the National Lampoon's movie, when they go visit the dam and
Oh,
you
jeez.
get the dam. Visit,
Moving right
I
along.
kept saying dam, yeah, okay, never mind.
Any other questions about this manifest?
Maybe giving the
I'll
dam.
make note that we bought over $3,000 in salt and over $2,000 in sand. We had
Yes.
9 triaxles from High Street. And the triaxles hold.
I'm not sure how much they hold. I mean, as far as
If it's like
gravel,
gravel,
It's
they
9
hold.
loads.
gravel, they hold like 20 tons, 19, 20 tons.
Triaxle does?
Jesus, huh?
I think so.
So that's quite a bit of sand we stockpiled and we used a lot of it.
We've used a lot of it.
And I wrote that we were using fuel, overtime, sand, salt. This weather is expensive, and people say they're doing a great job. Don't let it go to you.
I've got one other question, just again, for my edification.
Yep,
On those 2 items that are dated 1/1/2025, New
Yes.
Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, and again, the Treasurer State of New Hampshire for the dam,
yep,
are those expenses incurred going against our 2024 budget?
no,
They're going against
They're
our
not.
2025?
correct.
Okay, so I guess I'm a little bit confused why they're showing up on this week's manifest.
Because, well, I processed them, I needed you to see them. They won't get mailed out, so they won't be able to they're not dated, they're dated January anyway, so.
And are you sure with that, Nancy? The manifest is voted in 2024 and the bill's paid in 2025? Because we say to hold checks from time to time, so it
Right.
doesn't have to be
Okay,
paid
but
in
these
the
have due
manifest
dates
week.
as well. They're due on the 1st.
Right, I get that. It's just we're proving it right now.
Yeah, so.
Theoretically, we could also have approved this 2 weeks from today on December 31st.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
You're just showing it to us now. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I just want to make sure what year that expenses will get charged to, and I got it. Okay.
Yep, so when I run a profit and loss, you're not gonna see that.
Right.
Right.
Roger that.
Any other questions on the manifest? We're paying off the audit.
Mm-hmm.
And There's payroll in here and the bonuses are in here.
It's the bonuses,
And
yeah.
we have legal expense. We paid off the attorney to write a $136 letter for the audit, which is an added expense for the audit. All in favor of the manifest for $27,112.39, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Now we will move on to the water assessment manifest, and that is for a total of $550.57, which is the lump sum to get the notification letters regarding
Lead line,
the lead pipe that the EPA and the state of New Hampshire are forcing all water systems to send out.
Wait, say again?
it's Minuteman Press, Bill.
This
Oh,
is
okay,
to lead pipe
that's not the
letter.
one for the uranium?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, okay. Because that just came, that went out this week. But okay.
All in favor of this manifest at $550.57, say aye.
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 3-0. So at 9:10, we moved to the DPW report, and the first thing we see on here is Albany Service Center.
Yeah,
December
I didn't know
report.
if you guys had questions on it. I don't think he really needs to address it unless you guys wanted to talk about it. It's not on this manifest, it'll be on the next one.
Yeah, these were for the work on the plows, the front plows of the Dodges, gotten worn over the years.
Yep.
So they repaired them. So they're both up and working, ready to go. All trucks are 100%. I'm still waiting. They're gonna, a little bit of work they gotta do on the front plow for the grader. But other than that, the trucks are all set, raring to go. And there was a little work, with some lights that they fixed on the truck, on one truck, the 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what those things are
Okay.
from Albany Service. I wanted to start out with saying thank you for the bonuses. We really appreciate that. I know, Tony as well. He called and made me aware again.
Second.
I didn't even see the account. My wife does all that over the phone, so he gave me the heads up on that one. But thank you. Thank Doug for the sweatshirts. We appreciate those. And Steve's, he said a double XL. He saw my XL, I guess he likes them big.
Yeah, me
So
too.
he said he'd take a double XL. He's
Nice.
working out great. The new guy's right on the ball. He jumps right in there. He keeps the shop neat and tidy. He's been working out really good. So,
Good.
it's just learning the district for him at this point. He could drive. He could plow. He does a nice job out there. It's just go over there. Where's over there? He
Yeah.
keeps the map in the truck. So he, like I said, once he learns the district, it'll be awesome. But he's doing a great job.
There are people that have never figured it out,
Yeah.
that
Jeez.
have had houses here.
Right. Well, again, Tony knows exactly where all the roads are, but he couldn't name the roads. So, like I said, if I say go down Dees Park, he's like, I say pizza oven guy. If I say go down west,
Little mnemonic devices, yeah.
right. If I say go down East Bergamo, cigar guy. Simmons. So we got, but he, again, so Steve will get it. He's a smart kid, and like I said, he jumps right in there and fixing the things because people don't realize that, something goes in the storm and you got to fix it after the fact, during the fact, and he's good with the torches. He jumps right in there. So good fit, I think.
Excellent.
So, yeah, battling Mother Nature. You talk about the sand and the salt. Unfortunately, like you say, it's an expensive time of year because those things are needed. I didn't want to wait because I knew he was hauling yesterday, so I did get 4 more loads of sand because,
Isn't it?
Monday night into Tuesday morning, you think, wow, it was mostly rain. Well, it was a pretty good icing event. I mean, very significant. And if anybody got out driving at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday, they would have known what we were up
I
against.
see.
It was just glare ice.
And the sand sinks into the melting, and then it freezes over.
And you got to do it again.
And then as it starts to melt, you start to see the old sand coming
I
back
know.
up. It's really
So were you
crazy.
guys out that night?
I came in on Monday at 7 o'clock because as I was bringing my daughter home from basketball practice, I was going up Mooney Hill and I felt the truck slide out on me.
Gee.
I said, oh boy, and I'm Mooney Hill and the summit are about the same elevation and I'm at the top. So I says, well, I got them supper and I said, let me go check it out, and I'm glad I did.
Wow.
So I treated the pavement and I was gonna go home, and I says, you know what, as I'm going from pavement to pavement, you gotta cross some of the gravel. Truck's going sideways on me. I said, I better put some treatment on. So I treated all the roads with sand. So we had a plan to come in. Steve got in, I believe, at 4:30, and I came in at 5 yesterday to get the morning commute. And we were able to make it happen, but it wasn't fun.
No?
He told me, and he's came in this morning and he stayed all day, so that's a
Yeah.
good sign. He said it was the worst he'd ever seen plowing in the years he's plowed. Now again, he's never plowed here in New Hampshire.
Right.
Because
down
of the
Cape,
ice?
because of the ice.
I bring that up because at some point Monday night, it wasn't really late night, but a VDOE resident called my wife's mobile phone. She didn't pick it up. It just went to voicemail, so neither of us saw it till way later. But she was basically saying, I don't know if you're the right person to call, but the roads are really icy, what can be done? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's not the proper procedure. If I understand it correctly, if a resident sees issues and it's after hours, they should call the police first, who then call the on-call person.
Yes,
DPW?
I believe they call the sheriff.
Sheriff's
Yeah.
dispatcher,
And then the
sheriff's
sheriff calls-
dispatcher has the number to call
Yes,
them.
right.
Same with water.
Was the sheriff's dispatcher the same number as the Madison
Yes.
Police after hours? Doesn't it
Yes.
just go get
Well,
forwarded?
so just so you know, the Madison Police have a phone number here. If they're here, they can answer it.
Right,
If they're not here, it shifts over right to the sheriff's dispatcher.
right.
So one way or another, you're getting to the dispatcher. So I tell people go straight to the dispatcher
Right.
and not tie these guys up passing phone messages to the dispatcher who calls them.
Okay.
Right?
Madison Police doesn't call you directly on those, right?
No, I get from the sheriff. I get
Yes.
from the Carroll
So the
County
answer is,
Dispatch.
if it's after hours, if something's really bad, it could be the roads are really bad, or again, the classic example is a tree's gone down.
Correct.
Or some other
Yeah.
bad thing. Call the Carroll County Sheriff's dispatcher, who will then call the on-call person.
Correct.
Idlewise.
And I tell people to put the sheriff's department's dispatcher number in their phone,
Yes.
Right.
which is,
Then I guess I need to do that too.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it
I have
works.
the Madison Police, but I don't think I have the sheriff.
No, that's exactly how it works and should work.
Okay.
So we took care of that, and again, you like Mark said, you go around, you put the sand down, and the rain it lasts for a while, but then it'll seep down into the road and it glazes back over that. So you kind of go around and around and around until it warms up enough where it stops it.
Yeah.
And that's what that was all about. So you do go through a lot of material. So I got a call yesterday that they were trucking. I said, truck me a few loads, and he
Okay.
trucked me 4 loads more sand. And the salt, we're okay now. We'll see what happens tonight, and I don't know if something may be coming Friday, Saturday, and maybe next week. I might need another couple loads of salt or something like that, but we're in good shape with material right now.
sheriff's department is 603-539-2284. 603-539-2284. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So, I gotta get another call into BB Chain. I'm trying to get a price on rear chains for the big truck. I've got the old ones from the front of the tires on the rear because they were in better shape, and that gets around pretty good. So, but I'm still trying to get a price. He said they were around $460, but he had to check, and he hadn't gotten back to me yet. And I'm also trying to get some prices on a couple of sets for the grader chains. So when he gives me a price on that, I'll let you guys know what those are. So along the lines, like the spinner, so that the spreaders, the sanders, they have an auger which runs the belt, which brings the material to the back of the spreader, and then the spinner spins it out. So there's bearings and that get greased and all that. Well, they freeze up, and when I say freeze, not by ice, they seize up. So last year I bought a few spare parts like that and things like that, which are good to have on hand, because if you don't have them at 2 o'clock in the morning when these things do freeze up, you're SOL. So last year I had purchased a few of those, and they're not big money, but I still have a few more of those. But so getting along lines, the front plows, we had some work done. Well, the wing plows aren't a matter of things like what had work done on the big plows, the front plows, but there are like arms that go to them, and there's springs and things, and they get worn out as well. So I think it'd be wise, I'll get a few prices on some parts for the wings, because again, nothing's broke yet, but you just don't know. These, you know, the Dodges have been performing awesome since we've had the service and some work done on them. Some springs in the front ends, we're not bottoming out when we, you know, go down a hill and things like that. So they're really rugged rigs, and they really do a good job. But obviously things cost a few bucks here and there, wear and tear and all that things.
You're gonna find out how much.
Yeah, I'll find out how much on some springs and things that I think I should have on hand for those. And moving along here.
You're also gonna see how much it costs to contract a jackhammer on a skid steer so we can put it on the warrant.
Yeah,
Any leads on where you go to find?
I was just thinking Coleman's, really. I don't know
Do
of
they have one?
anybody else. I mean, they're jackhammering up at the pit all the time, so I'll give them a call and see if somebody can steer me in the right direction.
Yeah, what they use up there, I don't think.
Yeah, they have them on big excavators. But I mean, they have this equipment. You know, he has any piece of equipment known to man.
They also use dynamite, which I don't think people know.
Yeah, and it's funny because every time they blast, old Buzz is up there watching it like a little kid at Christmas every time. Yeah, it's funny how, you know, when they're blasting, and you know, guys like that stuff.
Yeah.
Seeing things explode, fun stuff, right, Doug?
Start blowing up. Right?
So you
Right.
gotta start checking the tree for a price, because we'll start building the warrant
Okay.
pretty soon.
I'll get that. I'll get that going. Jen come across the bill. I didn't mention this the last time I was here, but I'll throw it out there. Air gas. It was for one of them.
Your favorite.
Yeah. So it was another cylinder thing. So I'm like, I did all that work with Matheson Gas. I thought I had that all squared away. Well, here's a company for 10 years. I believe we've been paying $100 a year for this cylinder. That we, like I said, there's been this one cylinder that when we went through all that with Matheson, for some reason I saved it because I just something didn't look right with it, and we never used it since I've been here. And Jen asked me about the bill. I called the guy, talked with him. I took a picture of the cylinder. He said, "That's mine." He said, "Bring it back. They're up in Gorham, and I'll squash the bill." So I brought the cylinder back. He squashed the bill, and I don't know why we've been paying that for 10 years if we hadn't used it, but just one of those things. So
Legacy.
legacy issue,
We
right?
need a DOGE examination of.
And I did get a hold of Mike Hoyt, and we took a look at those outhouses.
Yes.
So that's a subject. You know, just dumping the concrete in there isn't. It's going to bring everything up to the top and not kind of, you know, there's you probably have to dump some sand in there first. And
That's the plan.
I thought that's what we were gonna.
right, and I mean, but you know, again, putting a porta potty in those, I mean, you're going to have to tear the roof off of those. You're going to have to reconstruct the front.
The front.
I mean, you know, there's some work involved to doing that, and I don't know. You know, he was coming up with a couple ideas, and if we were able to pick the building up, because I don't think it's bolted down into those structures. I think they're just built on those. But again, nothing's impossible to do, but it's how it's going to get done and for the right pricing and all that. I mean, you know, how is a truck going to get over at Thusis?
We're gonna not put it where, we're gonna move that.
The outhouse is
And
going to get moved.
I have a lot to say in this. I talked to Mitchell Drew yesterday,
Yeah.
and I talked to Clean Restrooms, where we get the porta potties, and I talked to a lady who gave me some information, but I really needed Olivia to call me back. Olivia Dickens is the person that we've been interacting with since we started with them. About
yeah.
how big of an opening the truck needs on the front of the building to put the
Right.
porta potty in. They don't swap them out, they actually service them on site with a hose. And so these details we have to work out to have a warrant article. And there's no pressure because we can put on the warrant the best we can do at this point and see how much progress we can make with some number of them. It doesn't all have to be fleshed out with a total plan by February.
Right.
Yeah, and I know this could be more of an ongoing
We can do what we
subject.
did this year, again, for 4 out of the 5 of them.
Yeah.
We can decide what is it that we know and what can we first try and
Right.
see how that works out, that kind of thing. So I'm not really concerned, but I want to keep the information flowing. So I'm going to follow up with clean restrooms, have Olivia call me back and answer some questions. Then I guess I'd like to talk to Mike about how to go about this. What I'm seeing is Geneva Beach, we may be able to lift that building up off and move it to reuse it.
Right, put it in that corner where
And
the porta potty was.
Seal off that concrete and maybe put a picnic table or a boat rack over it. Because that's a concrete structure that's not gonna have a building underneath it when we, so
Right.
that would have a solid top, not just plugs on
And
the,
he's got a plan on doing something like that if you were able
raising
to
the
pick.
floor, raising the whole floor.
Yeah, put a piece of plywood over,
Good.
build it up and pour 4 inches of concrete over and do it, you know, but again, picking the building up, that type of thing. So that,
Yeah.
he's got a few ideas and a few,
So Thusis
Things.
and Geneva might have their buildings lifted up and
okay.
floors put in and
Because
then,
again, the porta potty truck couldn't service those
No.
as they are.
Right.
no, can't get to them.
Can't get to them.
So, we're working
Okay,
on
so
it.
you've been thinking about it
Yeah.
too, okay. So that's it's a work in progress and maybe the wheels are in motion on a slow moving basis.
I might have to, I know where to find Mike.
Yeah, I've got his
Working out.
number if you need it, but yeah. Oh, Mike's a great guy.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone, I'll just find him. All right.
And that's all I have. Yeah.
Any chance that we could get some stone in on that curve on Blinden before spring, or should we wait for spring and try to get it there when the snow's gone, but before it can get washed out?
Blended.
Blinden where it curves
Oh.
in the inside where the
Yeah,
paved
yep,
road.
yep, right at the pavement
I don't
there.
know if we can put stone there and it just sinks down as the snow melts. It's gotta stay out of the way of the wing plow, I guess.
Yeah, we could maybe get a few bucketfuls of snow there, stone in there.
Just so that we don't get caught.
Right,
With
right,
it.
that doesn't undermine the pavement there. Yeah. We'll take a look at
That whole road is a candidate for the crack sealing and bluestone treatment that we did to Idolize Drive in 2013.
Chip sealing.
Chip sealing. That was only supposed to extend Idolize Drive's life for 3 years.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's 2016, it's now 2024.
Right, that was done right before I came.
And Blinden is in better shape than Idolize Drive was when we did it. So that would be a good road to save,
Yeah.
but we won't be putting that in the budget this year. But I'm saying that because we should probably look at it for next year,
Yeah.
if you agree with that.
Yeah.
The other thing I mentioned to Jeff on the road was, I would like to see if we can protect Grisson's water main from Grisson getting washed out. We have no way, we've done nothing to prevent Grisson from not washing out for the 3rd time taking the water main out. So, if it's possible to dig a trench across the closed road, where we know the water twice has come over the road in the same place, which is not where they built that solid rock, solid concrete block wall. It happens closer towards the 113 side of the Grissom Culvert complex. But a trench just dug a foot across the road and had waterproofing put on it would let the water, if it did rise again, instead of wiping it out for the 3rd time, it would let the water across the road. And we can do it because the road's closed.
And the trench would be on the 113 side versus the Aspen side?
They're correct.
Yes.
That's where it comes across. We have
That's-
video proof.
And where does the water main run? Is it underneath that, the culvert, or where does that
It
run?
runs underneath the top culvert,
Top culvert.
but over the, obviously the one that's 14 feet down into the ravine that's failed. The difference this time is that now that culvert has failed at the bottom.
Yes,
Things didn't get better
Correct.
at all.
Yeah.
So I would like to not have that whole area out of water because this time the catastrophe is even bigger. That we can't just fix it quickly like we've done twice.
Is this something FEMA would entertain too?
This is just to see
Yeah.
if the highway department can get a
Yeah.
break in the weather and the frost line isn't too far down that the backhoe can do it.
Right.
And if the backhoe can't do it, maybe we would think about bringing a bigger piece of equipment in if we want to do that. So I'd like you think about it, you think about it, but
Right.
if we're gonna do it, we should probably try to do it in the next few weeks before the frost line's too far down.
Yeah.
Could save us a lot of money and save Grisson, Constance, Bergdorf, Granville,
Wow,
the headache of being out of water.
if the water main, yeah.
That one water main stops that all, that whole
Yeah.
area,
yep,
which I'd like to fix, as you know,
Yes.
another way. Anyway, just to keep this moving,
Yep.
think about that,
okay.
everybody.
Okay.
Anything else?
Like I said, that's all I got.
Anything for Jeff?
I do. Like to get a quote or some numbers for some small
Toolboxes.
toolboxes.
Toolbox.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mentioned it to him.
Yes,
I
something
got
that
that
you,
note.
something that we can put into the 3 trucks that you would be able to access when something happens and you're on the road, so that somebody doesn't have to stop what they're doing to run to the garage to,
Right.
you know, or if you had some stuff
Yep.
right available in the trucks. And there is enough money. The budget this year is looking good. So it is something that if we had the numbers, we could
Yep.
get that done this year.
Yeah.
The challenge will be there's no meeting next week because of Christmas. If we authorize it on December 31st, it certainly won't be purchased
Oh, gotcha.
by then.
Right.
So we would need to do something where at least
How much
for-
are you willing to spend on whatever he
Right,
comes up with?
And
that's,
does it include the tools?
you know?
What's your
Yeah.
number?
what are they? Maybe $100 a piece for a small rat hat
Yeah,
socket,
I
you
mean,
know,
I'm not
for-
sure. Steve, coming from big budget town, you know, where he worked down at the Cape,
Yeah.
money's like unlimited. I kind of threw this at him to kind of come up with some things, and
Yeah.
so the two of us are knocked our heads together. I mean, you know, you probably a small little socket set, you know, with the right sided sockets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a 3-pound little sledgehammer or something like that. Adjustable wrench, you know, a good pair of,
$150 a truck?
yeah.
Okay,
I make a motion that we approve a budget of up to
450?
$450,
Let's round up to 500.
okay,
$500 for the purchase. You can at least get the boxes and start to fill it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion for $450 for toolboxes for 3 trucks. Needs a second.
second,
Any further discussion?
I said 500, round it up.
Oh, 500, sorry.
okay,
Yes.
500.
Right.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Next.
Okay.
You have anything else for him?
Nope, that
Oh,
was,
ladder. Don't forget
Oh.
about the
And
ladder.
I gotta get the ladder.
yeah, that was already authorized though. He
Yeah,
just,
I'm
he
just
hasn't
reminding
fixed-
him again.
To
Yeah.
get it on this year's budget.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So 500 for the tools and some sort of boxes to put them in.
Yeah.
yep,
And try to make it so that you buy it distributed between the 3 trucks, that one truck doesn't get
Right,
the other
right,
toolbox and the other ones don't.
right, right.
And
No,
feel free
absolutely.
to come to the office and I can bring up Home Depot and we can go and look at stuff,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to,
yep,
including the ladder.
Right. Yep. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I don't see you, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You all as well.
I'm sure I'll see you. See you everywhere.
Hopefully there won't be
They'll
any
track
snow
you.
on Christmas Eve and Christmas and you
Right.
guys.
Figure we're getting it all out of the way now.
Yeah. Won't be another
Alrighty.
Thanksgiving event.
Jeff, I'll give you that as a.
We still have several inches on the
Absolutely.
ground despite the melt that happened
Right.
yesterday.
And
Yes.
I'm sure
I
you
know, there's still maintenance,
got the
but-
memo that I did do the flag and it is 4x6.
4x6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
We'll see ya.
Okay, so now it's 9:34, and we have scheduled appearance. We have the VDOE clerk, Doug Prescott, on the agenda.
Okay.
Let's time him.
What's that?
He has an agenda, you know. Oh,
I
sorry.
have 4 or 5 things. We'll try to
Yeah.
be really quick. We've got a lot of ground to cover. This is, the first item is the printer scanner,
Yep.
and this is the updated analysis. I emailed it to you, but it was really late, and so nobody saw it.
But you got the color. Ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Or did you just highlight that with highlighters?
Yeah, we stayed in the lines. That can't possibly happen.
I don't know.
So-
Doug could make it happen.
Let me just give you a really quick rundown on this,
Yeah.
and then I've got some suggested action items for you folks on this. I've looked at units from Staples and had some great communications with.
Do you know what this all looks like? Do you know what this is?
I'm really just looking at this particular document today.
Do you think, how would you like to go about this? Do you want to hear a total analysis right now, or? I'm leaning towards that Doug and Jennifer make their recommendation to us.
I like that idea. Plus, you got, the only thing we probably could go over, you got it segmented between color units and black and white
Right,
units.
that's
So
one of the decision points.
right.
Yep.
And, I mean, right now we have just black and white, right?
No.
No,
No, we have color.
Oh, that's right, we've got a color,
We
excuse
have
me.
color, but
All right, so wouldn't going color as a replacement and a higher end unit just be a no-brainer?
Kind
Stay
of.
with color?
yes.
that's what I assumed.
Okay, so that way you're knocking 3 units out of consideration right away.
And
But-
then in the color units, the third one on the right there doesn't do the PDF-A, so that's a no.
Oh,
The C3321I.
So what's the pick?
Between the first two, my
Yes.
recommendation is the first one, personally.
The Staples Brother or the Best Buy?
No,
Which
no, no,
one?
the
No, the Porter.
office.
The Porter.
The Biz
See,
Hub.
my
Oh, Porter,
recommendation
yeah,
down-
right, which
Down at the bottom, I got my recommendation.
is a lease, wasn't it, versus a purchase?
Lease or purchase.
What's that?
Porter will do anything you want. You can
Yeah.
buy it new, you can buy it used, you can lease it. The lease payments could be monthly, quarterly, annual, whatever you want for budget purposes.
I like the idea of an operating lease with a service agreement, so that if anything happens, boom, they're there.
I
That's the
agree.
enormous difference between, I was really surprised that Staples was actually more expensive.
Yeah.
than getting a really good unit
Not
from,
me.
with maintenance
So
from Porter.
the Porter machine has a number at the bottom of $1,843.
Yes.
Am I following this correctly? That would be
Yes.
the purchase price of it?
No, everything. It's the, it's still lease for the year, plus all of the toner, service, labor, parts, everything.
So this would be $1,843 per year for how long?
4
4 years.
Yep,
It's a 4-year agreement,
yep.
4-year operating lease, and the difference between the 1,800 and the 2,100 unit, I'm just trying to see what you're getting for the little extra money.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear why it's more, it seems like it's the same speed, same capabilities. I don't quite understand why it's more costly. I think it's kind of a no-brainer to go with that first Porter Office color unit. The machine actually communicates with Porter, so if it needs toner, it sends a message and they show up with toner.
Yeah.
Jen has to do nothing.
Yeah,
If there's an issue with it contacts.
yeah, it sends a
Porter.
message.
They might show up to do service on it, she doesn't
Yeah.
even know there's a problem.
Correct.
It's possible. It's a phenomenal service, I think.
So You okay with that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm just trying to understand what the total, on the second page, the 866, what is that?
That's a black and white unit.
Those are the
Don't even worry
black-
about
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I think we're focused strictly on the first porta unit, which
Yeah.
the annual cost would be $1,843. So that's lease of unit and service of unit and toner, all that stuff.
And the bulk of the cost is per page.
We don't have a copy of what the contract looks like, do we?
Not yet, no. It might be good to have Mark Porter come in to one of these meetings and just chat.
Oh.
Sure.
He can talk to Jennifer,
Okay.
we don't need,
Yeah, we don't need to,
Yeah,
Okay.
between you and Jennifer, I don't know if you want to input to this because you have a lot of experience running the copy and stuff at the office. You okay with this, Nancy?
I am definitely a fan of updating the equipment that is in the office.
Agreed.
So we won't take a vote on this today, but we're pretty well heading down towards this selection.
Yes,
Yeah.
and as far as looking at the 2025 proposed, we're good. So right now, the 2025 proposed for equipment and maintenance has 2,100 listed for the office, and when you add the water, it's coming up to 2,500. So
So it wouldn't be a warrant article.
it wouldn't be a warrant article, it would be right within,
Be part of
The
the operating
proposed budget.
Yes,
yep,
that would make things easier.
Make it easier.
Just do
Yeah.
it.
Very easy.
yep,
There are purchase options, but my concern is that if you buy it and then something goes wrong, Mark Porter said, well, if it's on maintenance agreement, it's in our interest to replace it, even though you own it, with one
Correct.
that's gonna be less maintenance for us to deal with.
right,
right,
But we'd have to see that in a contract.
yeah.
yeah,
The lease is clear. He owns the machine.
Yes.
If it's giving him problems, he's gotta come out and replace it if
Right.
Right.
necessary.
Okay,
It makes total sense to lease.
Yeah.
yeah,
right, we're in violent agreement here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like I said, mostly I just wanted to look to see if the numbers would gel with what we already have proposed for next year, and it does.
This is,
All right, so we're ready to move on to Doug's next subject?
Yes, Doug's next subject.
okay.
We'll vote on this next year, it's in the budget, and it's just a matter of getting a copy of the contract.
Right,
And
Yep.
Porter can send it directly to Jennifer for us to see, right?
the office, sure,
yeah, that would be great.
Great. I'll send him a message.
beautiful.
Next.
Next, swing tie cards. The water system, this is another proposal. This is a sample of the breakout I did. This is a screenshot of a File Explorer listing to show you what Jennifer would look at when she logs on to look at the data. So I took the large PDFs from Staples and just took two letters, just broke them out to the individual cards. The key here is a nomenclature, road, house number, and if you want, map and lot number, and then the date of the card. So
Yeah,
this means that if Ian comes up with a new swing tie card,
right,
just plunk it in there with a new date, take the old one, put it in an archive somewhere.
yep,
He never has to look in more than one place. He can't remove the card from the office. You can print him a copy,
Yes.
but he can't remove it anymore. It's a chance to audit these cards against the water system customers, so we can figure out which ones have disappeared over the years and fix it. Mark, you were concerned about the size, breaking it out, and these samples that I did, it comes out around 10% bigger. The sum of the parts versus the total letter scan from Staples, a little bit bigger,
So
not a
what,
lot.
so all of these individual files per curb stop add up to only 10% bigger than the original scrolled file that
Right,
Staples made.
yep. In this day and age, computers have terabytes.
So you did the whole file, Staples file?
Yes, but for these letters. I did these as a test
yeah,
of
yeah,
the system.
yeah,
This is a proposal.
So how did you calculate that, what all of them would be in size compared to the scroll file? You didn't do a,
No, for these letters, it came out around 10%, comparing the parts versus the total.
how do you know what the scroll file had for
It's an
just those?
S. There's one file from Staples that had the S on it, for example.
Had the S on it.
The letter S, all streets beginning with, I'm sorry, the letter K in this case and the
Yeah.
letter U.
Yeah,
So you picked these streets because that's what the staple file looked like that you could use as a sample.
They're all the same. All letters are the same.
So this works after you break all the rest of the files out?
Right.
Huh.
Yep.
We're back into the volunteer situation again, but
It wasn't that bad, actually. It didn't take very long to do this.
we have to stop buying you vitamins and everything.
I think it means that Ian will never have to look in more than one place for the current
Right.
data. We'll be able to figure out which ones are missing, fix it. New cards can be integrated right in.
yeah.
New customers can be integrated right in.
Well, thank you for doing this.
So before I did the whole thing, this is what I call a winter project.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like knitting.
Yeah, exactly. If this looks okay, then I'll go ahead, but I didn't want to go too far with it until you took a look at it. Is there benefit of having that structure on the names? The street name, the house
Yep,
number,
Number,
the map and lot number
Yeah.
for a cross tie,
And then the
and then the
date.
date. In a year, month, day sequence, so that
Yep.
it sorts correctly. If that structure looks okay, and you're okay with it, I'll move forward with it. Any comments?
What other information besides swing tie information usually comes with those cards?
There's just a swing tie card.
The staple scan also had a file that had the isolation valve locations.
Do the same thing for those.
Okay.
Yep. So this technique would work for anything that's similar in data. The isolation valves is a good example.
So whenever Simply Water does work at a particular address, whether it's a brand new water hookup or repair or something happened, where does the information regarding materials used wind up?
If that's not currently on the swing tie card, it should be added. That would be a good place.
So I thought when I went through the physical notebook, which I believe included swing ties, there was a lot of like extra information. It was all sort of crazy, but things added along and the work was done.
The PDF, like pick an address here. The PDF for that street and that address can include anything. It could include 6 pages of information if you want to. But the key is it's only the information for that
for
one
that
address.
one, yeah.
So the more the better. If we get it's not just a swing tie card, one page. That's
Yeah,
not a
okay,
limitation.
okay.
It could be anything.
I don't want to go into it. This is a separate, there's a reason, ulterior reason why I'm asking this, but we don't need to go into that right
Like the
now.
lead.
Had to do with the lead line, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I
So,
see.
but that's a good point. Anything
Yeah.
could be built into the system. The swing tie cards could be added onto. I've got software that will add pages onto the PDF. It's in there if we can get our hands on more stuff. So they're easy to do. The key is to organize it in a way that, I think the folder that we build, I'll work with you, Jen, on this. The folder that we build, it
Yeah.
has the swing tie cards, one main folder, and then a subfolder for each letter.
Yeah.
So you can go quickly to the right general area.
Right.
And then the details like this within
exactly.
that letter. So it could be 26 subfolders
Should
at most
move along.
for that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is that a go on that then? Does it look okay?
Looks good to me.
I think this is wonderful direction to go with this.
All right.
What do you think, Nancy?
Yeah, I think if it's gonna make things easier and gonna give us a place to put additional information moving forward, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Should we make a vote on it, or is that answer good enough for you?
Good enough for me.
Right,
Okay.
Just didn't want to go any further with it.
Excellent.
Do you have another subject?
Yep. Next, the customers and properties by zone. This is the spreadsheet that I originally created last winter for the Como zone warrant article. It actually includes already all the water system customers for all zones, all well users, district-wide, list from the office, district-owned lots, developed or not, and all the vacant lots. Everything is in there. The only one I tied to a zone was Como, because that's the one we needed right away. What I want to do now is go back and fine tune all the other data to tie each property to a zone in the water system. Another winter project, right? It's tough. Como was easy because it was well-defined roads. Mark, you gave me the list of roads. These are the roads in the Como zone. But that's not always going to be the, Idlewild Drive. How many zones touch Idlewild Drive, for example? I don't know. I do have as a starting point, first of all, I guess the question is, does this make sense to continue and expand that? It'll give tremendous analytic information for the district, just like we knew what we were up against with Como, how many vacant lots were there that could be developed, how many were on wells, how many were in the water system. That basically, how many did the district own, how many are privately owned, all that data's in that spreadsheet. It also included data from the assessor's office list here. That was all integrated in as well for all the properties in the district. The problem is getting the definition of the other zones by streets. There is a report in the Horizons report, Horizons Engineering report, that has customers by zone. I don't know how accurate that is. It's certainly a starting point, but it's going to need massaging. Ultimately, this could require some time from Ian to sit down with maps like we did. We spread out all the maps.
And we're
of the
talking about
states.
this now because what do you need?
Because it ties in with the cards.
One is a go-ahead, if it makes sense to go
Yeah.
ahead. Number two is if it does need Ian's time, is that just regular water system expense, or do we need to budget for that separately? I don't know how many hours it would take of his time. Or can we just roll it into regular water system billing? I mean, water system expense, rather. If we need some of his time to really.
This
nail
sounds,
this down.
I need to understand why we need to decide this today.
We don't.
It's a winter project for me. I can move along with it, and I'll tell you when I've gone as far as I can. At that point, it's not going to be accurate because I don't have all the final information. So at that point, we'll have to decide what resources to bring in. But I don't know if, the reason I'm bringing it up now is you're working on the budget for next year. I don't know if anything needs to be budgeted specifically for that, for Ian, for next year, for his time to work on something like that.
To define the houses that are in each zone?
Right. And it would, I assume that that would be beneficial if he's got a problem at a house, what zone is it on? Sounds like a simple question, but it's not necessarily.
There are fluid maps that have the
Yes.
zones drawn out.
Yes.
So I think,
If I could get my hands on those, that would be very helpful.
yeah, this is taking our time now. I think we need to see if we can send these maps to him and save the time of this meeting.
Right.
And
Okay.
budgeting for something we don't need to budget for.
Okay.
and-
Right.
Great, okay. That's new information, so that's very helpful. Let's see, the electrical work at Beach. This is really quick. This is the RFQ that I gave to Dan Brown. I did send, I think I copied you on the email, but
Thank you.
so just a few comments on this. What I'm configuring here is a two-phase project. And if it's presented as warrant articles, the voters could decide to do just phase one or both phases. Phase one is to get the power in to a pole with meter block and so forth. Phase two would be to bring the power underground down to closer to the beach for various events that could happen there. And Dan came up with a great suggestion. When we met down there, we were talking about putting lights on the outhouse building, or maybe on the Eversource pole. Dan suggested that we put a house-type double spotlight on our pole, so that there's no expense with Eversource, and there's no underground work to take the power over to the outhouse. It totally eliminates all of those expenses. Just run a wire up our pole, our post, took a spotlight on it aimed back at the outhouse building. So that
So,
means the security.
Again, what do you need today? And what is your,
This is aiming at a warrant article, or two. I'm not quite sure how to position that.
right, we
So-
won't decide that today. You haven't seen this before.
No.
We need to read this ourselves, outside this meeting. And this isn't something that you need today, because we can handle everything from here as far as the warrant articles. Okay,
Dan's working on it.
so if we could stop this
Yep.
and say, thank you for pulling this together, we'll read this, and it should be on the agenda for next meeting on the 31st, that we reach a conclusion of how we make the warrant article. We can get in touch directly with Dan if we
Yep.
have any questions,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Thank you for doing this.
He's working on the quote.
Quote, yeah.
Memorial Park flag, just a quick note, we'll try to find a buyer for the 4x6. I do have authorization from EPOA board to buy a 5x8 if we can find a buyer for the 4x6, and that'll look better on the pole. And last on my list is, Nancy, you might be able to help with this. I'm just trying to gather all of the forms that are gonna be needed, the clerk's election-related forms for the upcoming sequence. I've got the declaration of candidacy, but do we have somewhere in the system the absentee ballot from last year in Word form?
Yes,
Can you send that to me? And any other forms that are related to clerk's duties on the election?
She'll have to come to the office.
I suppose so.
I thought I sent those to you.
Just the declaration of candidacy.
Declaration of candidacy, but not the absentee ballot?
Right.
All right, I'll double check. I thought, I might have it. I'm not gonna swear, but I might have
Yeah.
it. But,
And this
No, we
is-
certainly have it.
This is Madison.
We certainly have it in the office.
This is Madison's, not Idlewice, so if there's an Idlewice version of this that already exists.
well, last year, we didn't wanna reinvent the wheel. We just used Madison and changed the name to Idlewice.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Yeah, we normally won't put any of that stuff together until we have had the dates where people can sign up, et cetera, as far as setting up the actual voting sheets for next year, for the 2025 annual meeting. So some of this stuff we won't create until sometime the end of January.
Yeah. Okay, just gonna be a little more difficult to work with you on stuff, so I'm trying to get a jump on it.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
set?
Well, that's where your deputy might be signing some things.
Well, yeah, I got a question. As deputy village clerk, there is one day there, the clerk, and you're gonna be away, so it's gonna fall on my shoulders, needs to be in the office between 3 and 5 for anybody who wants to come in and throw their hat in the ring with declaration of candidacy.
Right.
It's in February.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, have we figured out a date for that? So I can put it on my
The
calendar?
day the first budget hearing meeting happens. In February.
So it's
Yes.
February 7th, I think.
That's when they,
Yes, and that's also when petitioned warrant articles are gonna be done.
That's when
But we are
warrant-
gonna need to send around those dates.
Okay, so that's Friday, February 7th. That was our good weather date. If it was bad weather, then I think we deferred to the 14th.
No, the 14th would be the second if we needed it.
Oh, that's right,
Correct.
If we needed a follow-on date, that's right. Okay,
Just one more point on to back up for a second, on the Idlewice Beach Electrical Project. Dan is assuming that DPW can help with excavation and planting the post and backfilling and adding the sand and that sort
we'll
of thing.
have that all clear, we'll have that covered.
I think he's thinking about it for the quote.
My question is, does that warrant article for this need to include time?
See, now
for
we're back
DPW?
into the warrant article again, and I don't wanna do that.
Right.
I wanna read this and take it from there,
Yeah.
not at this meeting.
Something to think about, now whether the DPW.
we'll put you on speed dial when you're gone.
Okay.
Okay. All set?
Yep.
So at 9:58, we move to the administrator's report. This is trying to end at 11:30
I know,
with discussion
I know.
of the ordinance, right?
Yep.
What do you have, Jennifer?
I just wanna know if I can pay Chadwick and Bay Ross.
That's the one that Tony suggested that we pay.
Right.
As it came in.
Very briefly, this is pretty ugly because what Tony is saying happened, that we should pay the bill, is not what's on the invoice. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
And I almost want to have an opinion as to whether we should follow up with an email to him, to Chadwick Bayross saying that. An invoice worth a couple of grand, and it doesn't say what actually happened, and we have an employee telling us what really happened and having us pay the bill. That's a pretty ugly situation.
So what Tony told us happened is not what's on the invoice.
Right.
It's two different things.
Right.
Yeah. These guys are the only game in town for,
That's the thing
Yes.
is, how many places can you identify that Idlewise has no choice except for the vendor that we're using?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's another discussion, and we're not gonna come up with an answer today. So the answer to the question, I would say, is yes, we pay the bill.
Thank you.
Anything else under administrator's
No.
report?
and if you want that as a motion, I'll second that.
Okay,
To pay the bill?
Yeah.
yeah.
aye.
3-0 on paying the
Okay.
bill, yes?
Yep.
Okay. And at 10 o'clock, we move to Old Business Muddy Beach testing with wells number 1 and 2. To speed this along, I noticed that it seems that the testing company is testing, alternating, they'll test well number 1 month under the program that we have to test because one of them crossed the uranium threshold. In the next month, they'll test number 2. Then they'll go back to number 1 just to explain the alternating.
Yep,
And I think that's a slow process and is not a good way to determine for sure which well is the villain in this story. But Jennifer pointed out that the state doesn't want us to test both wells at the same time.
Well, they don't
spec-
wanna receive the reports of it.
And I think that is, I guess I could take a guess as to why they're doing that is, there's a chain of custody on these tested products.
yes,
Like evidence in a murder trial, they want to know exactly how long, whose hands it went through before it got to them. So they're trying to keep it simple so they don't get confused as to what well we're talking about. So they only will accept the test of one well for a
Right.
monthly test.
Correct.
And then Jennifer's notes to us was that we can have the other well tested at the same time so we get a better picture of exactly what happened at that point when that test
Right.
happened. Which well, did both of them at that time cross over and they're changing?
Yeah.
We don't get a picture of how they're changing by doing it the way the state wants.
right,
So we give the state what they want and ask the company that's doing the testing
to do the
to do
additional.
a test for us, don't send us to the state, of the other well.
Yep,
And
Yes.
we can track it and feel confident of a conclusion as to what the wells are doing.
Yeah,
Yes, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Right.
okay. But
exactly.
does the state at this moment want each month's test being an alternating well as opposed to,
That's how they've have it set
That's how
up
they
right
have it
They're
now.
set up.
happy with the way this is going, and that's what we're seeing happening.
okay.
Right,
And Holly, who's testing the wells, is familiar with what the state wants and how to do all this.
Right.
And recommended to you, if we wanted a second one, we do that privately.
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I make a motion that we go into having the alternate well tested at the same
Beautiful.
time privately.
Yep.
If that makes sense to you.
yep,
second,
Aye.
beautiful.
aye,
3-0. Thanks for doing that in record time. That was complex.
I was getting confused. What the heck is going on here?
And so at 10:03, we see there's no signature items today?
No.
At 10:03, we go to commissioners' reports. First thing I want to show you for show and tell is, if you remember, we were talking to the
Homeowner?
Lintons on Bristenstock.
yes,
And he mentioned that he had the device, he dropped the device off at my house, so if
Right.
you wanna see what the device looks like that we own, that we put on the water system to see if the pressure, it records the pressures changing. That happens to be number 1 evidently, and we didn't have it for 2 years.
Was,
because it was left at the homeowner's house.
oh,
And he brought it to my house and put it in my wood pile.
Okay. How often do they have to be calibrated? Because last time it was calibrated was June of 2017.
Yeah.
And needs a battery.
oh,
And this does exactly what? It measures
It
the,
records pressures at a sampling rate. Anyway, that's too much time,
okay. All right,
but we have it.
onward.
Now you know what it looks like.
Yep.
And I don't know how much they cost,
what
but
do you call it, pressure what?
pressure recording device.
Okay.
That's what I just made up. Got the signs in. I made a mistake. It's not this mistake. The sign company made a mistake and gave us a 10th sign at no charge.
Oh,
And it happens to be the Hilton Company evidently
yeah.
wanted a sign for Diamond members preferred parking.
thanks.
So,
Jennifer should have.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think they should go in front of your space,
Sure.
in front of the office.
okay.
But I had to order 2 more signs because I messed up the Old Town Road signs. Old Town Road is not a Class 6 road,
No, it is not.
so I at the 40% discount, I got 2 more signs that
Okay.
don't have Old Town Road, and I'll
Okay.
get that to you.
Well, it becomes a class 6 when you go past the rocks down toward the chicken coop, isn't it? And that's still Old Town Road?
Huh?
Old Town Road is at the end of West Bergamo, goes uphill and joins into Upper Lakeview.
Right, but if you're at the right at the top of the hill, there's a class 6 portion that goes straight down toward a chicken coop.
It's not a Class
No, there
6 road.
isn't.
That's not class 6 road?
The town dissolved that Class 6 road in the 80s, I believe,
So what
That's
is it?
private
That's just
property
all
of-
private
So
property?
Private property.
Wow.
of a member of the planning board.
Okay,
It used to be a Class 6 road. It used to be the road, only road that went through Madison to get to Conway.
and it's called Old Town Road, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
why it's called Old Town Road.
Okay,
Right,
But it stops at the intersection of Upper Lakeview.
yes.
right, okay.
And it's Class 5. We maintained
Right.
it paved.
Well, that I knew. I was
Okay.
just,
So, next.
Okay.
The audit has a unassigned fund balance at year ending December 31st, 2023 of $215,146. The unassigned fund balance, key number. It's the most important number, I think, in the entire audit. The rest of it's just reorganizing our budget into unrecognizable formats for financial people and banks to review. But I like to compare this $215,146, which is in the form of cash the day that the payment hits from, the second payment hits from the town of Madison.
I see.
And I like to compare this to what it was at year end previous, 2022. It indicates what happened in 2023 that did the auditors take money out of the unassigned fund balance to cover misappropriations of that fiscal year. So anyway, that's enough on that.
Oh,
You all
boy.
have copies of this.
Yes.
But that's the magic number, $215,146.
251. You said 215.
Yes, he did.
transpose the number.
251, 146.
Okay, thank you.
Is 251?
Yes.
Yep. 251.
That's different.
146.
Next. The Community Power Coalition in New Hampshire.
Yes.
I've been working on it with Larry Sodano. Alistair Hewitt has volunteered to join us in deciding what to do with this opportunity to join a New Hampshire coalition. And I'm gonna keep this as brief as possible and tell you that the 40-page joint powers agreement has sections that I indexed, and it has the 57 members, it has the signatures of the municipalities that started this whole thing. This is covers all the laws and the creation of the corporation that's statewide that allows municipalities to form their own community power aggregates, CPAs. So, to give you an idea, just so you have a picture of how this all works, the Constitution of the State of New Hampshire and the legislature in Concord wrote laws that allow a corporation to form, like the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, to provide low-cost power to municipalities that join them as members. So they're a broker. They go out and negotiate all kinds of complex hedge funds against power. And they have a menu of different types of power that the municipalities can buy. The first step is to sign the joint powers agreement. And then you decide on whether you want to sign the 26-page Community Power Coalition cost-sharing agreement. And this is a doozy. This is not pleasure reading at all. And so I read through this, and Larry's read through this. Alistair just joined, so he hasn't been up to speed. We're going to have a video meeting this afternoon at 3, if I can make teamwork for this first time of initiating it. I'm giving you this background to say, at this point, I think we're going to decide this impromptu group of Larry, me, and Alistair to not take any action this year for 2 reasons. One, it's too much to do in too short a time with too many other things to do to get this warrant. To think that we're going to bring this to the annual meeting and present it and get a vote is not realistic at all. So what I'm saying is that we don't drop we continue investing our time into completely understanding this and shoot for next year to bring it to the annual meeting. The other thing that I sent you, the office, an email that copied you guys on it, to say that Eversource is gonna drop the price, they've applied to drop the price. That takes kind of the motivation out of it until we see what that really means in terms of dollars per kilowatt, cents
right.
per kilowatt hour. So in February, we will have converted away from, we will have some bills from Eversource that is not First Power.
Correct.
So we will see electric bills, and then we will see what the bill looks like after the Utility Commission approves Eversource dropping the rates for everybody in February.
Yeah,
And then we can match it up against what the coalition has to offer at that time.
right.
And then follow it for the rest of the year and decide what we're gonna do in 2026. Okay?
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So Larry did a lot of work. He's a lawyer, so he probably likes reading this
Oh,
stuff.
he loves that stuff.
Yeah, well, I want to read to you one paragraph out of this to give you a taste of how this is closer to Greek than English, but I'll spare you.
We all know legalese is not plain English.
But it's even beyond that, it's complex scenarios on how you're paying the coalition to do hedge funds, to buy power over a certain amount of time. It's like,
Yeah. Wow.
I have to read each sentence twice. Anyway, gotta keep it moving here. So I'm sure I'll think of something else and do my part 2 like I do, but I'll stop now
Okay.
and turn it over to you.
Okay, just to let everybody know, the uranium notification, which well at Muddy Beach, I don't know, but the uranium notification went out on Monday, so people will be receiving them this week.
It went out based on well number 1.
That's right, that's
The
right.
deeper well that produces more water per gallons per minute than well number 2 is what we're understanding now. But the notification was definitely a test for well number 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's done.
That's for sure, yeah.
Okay. And then I've got other things that can wait to keep in the interest of time. So that's the only thing I need to report. That's
Thank
done.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. You're gonna have to.
For warrant articles of 2024, this year warrant articles, the Como zone is the one that still has funds available, and we need to encumber these funds so that warrant article will carry one more year. So that we encumber those funds so that we can use that next year.
So you're
So-
making a motion to encumber the
Make a
remaining
motion to
balance
encumber
of-
any remaining balance on the Como zone warrant article. I don't have the warrant article name, number. from 2024.
I might.
Will it remain as a warrant article? Or will it just move into,
It will remain as the 2024 warrant
All right,
article,
great.
just like how we have a couple from 2019
Yeah.
that are
QuickBooks
still
will
there.
account for it as a warrant article.
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Uh, $2023. I don't see it.
I wanna say it was Article 8, but I don't recall specifically.
So we can do this and have Jennifer put the warrant article number in, but we know it's the warrant article that raised money, $25,000 for engineering and design of a solution for the Como zone.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be listed on like the budget, the proposed budget? No, on
No.
the, one of the profit and loss things.
Wouldn't be on the budget at all. It was for 2024, but it wouldn't be for 2025. Wouldn't it just be a balance?
On the, yeah, you would see it on the profit and loss.
Yeah, I'd like to know how the accounting is done for that, but we don't need to get into that now.
Taking time here.
Are you looking at the water one, Nancy?
I think you sent a budget out, proposed budget amounts on the 12th.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be listed on the budget, it'd be a profit and loss that it would.
Anyway, let's make the motion and
Yeah.
have Jennifer put the warrant article number in. We know what it is. Or we can do it on
Okay.
December 31st, but
No, we should do it now.
Yeah.
So
without.
we can let her put the warrant article in, because I'm not finding it on first view.
So the motion is to encumber the remaining balance of the warrant article that funded the Como engineering and design.
Yes.
Seconded by Wood.
Yes, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. We're encumbering that money for next year.
Okay, great.
That's the only thing we needed to encumber?
That's the only thing that we had to encumber for this year, yes.
Beautiful.
The other thing I have listed is there's some discussion about a bent water valve on curb stop
Yep.
valve on Barden. I think we should hold any repairs until the spring. As long as it's not leaking and that's been verified, then we shouldn't be digging this time of year.
Yes.
It's just too high risk.
So, the valve is underground, hopefully 6 feet.
Is this a gentleman that had trees removed or,
This guy's on Barden Place, 10 Barden Place.
That's Idlewild Drive. Yeah,
I think the other guy's on Idlewild Drive. Yeah.
okay.
near Wood.
It's not the one that I sent the work order and,
Yes, there is a work order for 10 Barden Place. That's where I got this to hold that for the summer.
I guess I'm confused because there was a work order that was done for a gentleman who had tree work done
That's on
and
Highway
it
Drive.
damaged, I don't remember the name of the street.
Uh-huh.
I'd have to pull up the work
If
order.
I gave
but
you
did
the name of the property owner, would that ring a bell with you?
Possibly.
Cancelarich? The ground is painted. I know where the trees came down. That's the house.
Did that have to do with the email
Yeah. there
that
was a-
said, "Good morning, Jennifer, typically the broken curb
Yes.
valves fall under the cost of the district"?
Correct.
And I'm thinking, not if it's the
Okay,
homeowner's
so-
fault.
What's the address? Do you know what the address was on that work order?
Well, I'm
That it
104,
pertained
they're 108.
Yeah, that's the 108. That's, okay, but we're not talking about 108 right now.
No, we're talking about Barden.
Talking about 10 Barden Place.
Okay, so I'm
Which
not
was
aware
also
of
an
a 10
email.
Barden.
It was also an email to Ian about the plow person hit the
Oh, his
curb
plow
stop.
guy, yeah.
Yes, we will wait, as long as it's not leaking, we will wait until after mud season, so the beginning of next summer, to repair that.
Okay, I asked him the question if he's gone ahead and repaired that, and I haven't gotten a response.
So you want to
Correct.
tell them,
So
Hold
we,
off.
yeah, so we want to tell him to hold off.
Okay? And if he hasn't held off and just hasn't responded back to me,
the couple thing is, why is curb stop still above ground where plows hit them? And secondly, who decides who's paying the bill?
well, that's another, it
That's the
was his
water
plow
operator?
guy.
The water operator decides who pays the bill?
No,
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 That's your point.
Well, that's
That's my point.
exactly.
but
right,
that has to do with 108.
Just so you know.
I got
what
it.
we're-
Right.
Barden was our bad,
no,
no?
this was the private
Plow
plow
guy.
person for the driveway that hit it. So this is something that will be visible,
Built to the home.
billable to the homeowner.
Yes.
But it will be next spring before we
Okay,
fix it.
Okay,
Hopefully.
and we just
He
need to make
hasn't
clear
addressed
to
it.
Simply Water that, no, if the homeowner does work on their property and that does damage to the curb stop, the homeowner's responsible for paying for that.
All right, what else?
That was all I had,
Okay.
because we'll wait for the rest of the other stuff. The other thing I had was the sheriff department. But we can wait until next meeting to go through that.
All right, so the next item would be item number 10, correspondence, which we have none. So at 10:21, we have public appearance. And you have highway and parking ordinance under that,
Yeah.
under public appearance?
I didn't know if public were gonna show up for it.
Well, it's not a hearing, but, so we can get right into it now anyway, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes?
let's just dive into it, get into the deep end of the pool. Or the far end of the parking lot.
So I have other copies up there if you guys are interested. I know Dinah, no, you have a full set, Mark. You don't have Nancy's suggestions on it or Wood's. So there are copies there of it if you are
With
interested
their
in looking at them.
suggestions?
Huh?
With their suggestions on it?
Yeah, they both submitted.
Well, I have some suggestions too, you know.
I knew you would.
Speak or forever hold your
Aha,
peace.
with the red ink on it?
Yes. And the next one under it is Wood's.
Oh, there's two?
See, it says WHM
Yeah.
edit.
So we basically have to stop by 11:30. We have an hour and 5 minutes to do this.
That's plenty of time.
Yes, worked out.
I don't think this is that complicated. Just
How would you like to
coming
go
a
about this? You
consensus.
want to go through this paragraph by paragraph?
Yeah,
I have some
Yeah, the whole bottom
organizational
section
ideas.
you can take.
you have some what?
She forgot to take the,
Some organizational ideas.
Organization, okay.
When I looked at this,
So what we can
Yep.
do is say that Dinah is speaking under public comments, and we haven't started into the ordinance yet. It so happens she wants to talk about the ordinance.
Okay.
The floor is yours. No, Lane's back.
okay, so,
Yep.
how about, the authority and purpose look pretty good. But how about if we divide the rest of the portion into road, all things about the road, and then parking? All things about the parking.
So split it, road, parking.
Yep.
Because it starts to talk about both of them in section 3, road and parking where.
Right, I thought that was sort of confusing.
So you thought like road would be section 3 and parking be section 4.
Right.
Yeah,
Bump everything else back.
But before we get to that, what about the authority?
Okay, the authority, we need to show the original dates where we first had this ordinance. So no ordinance ever is given that year's date unless that is the first time that ordinance is being enacted, being
oh,
enacted.
gotcha.
So we need to show the prior years, so that was
So we
my
have to
thing
go
under
back-
authority.
We have to go back to a previous copy of this and pull up the language that when this ordinance was first created.
Yes.
In yesteryear.
Yes,
Follow that?
And how do we do that?
This
No.
shouldn't have been changed by
I'll pull it.
the petitioned warrant article to say that this warrant article is starting the
In
day that this got
2023.
elected.
Yeah,
Okay, it should have cited the prior?
yes,
Okay,
yes, because it's not a brand new ordinance.
Correct.
okay. And then ours would say something, this supersedes the 2023?
Well, let me ask the question. Do you want to have this continue to be only in the hands of the legislative body to modify this?
No,
No, she
No.
changed that.
So part of
later.
this action is that this goes back to being a regular ordinance that the governing body holds hearings on any changes and votes the changes outside of the annual meeting.
Correct.
yes, and I have looked through multiple RSAs. I have all the RSAs that state the commissioners have the right to do ordinances. Yes, we may enact them at an annual meeting, but I have not come across something that says the legislative body can run an ordinance. Everything that I'm coming across says the commissioners have the authority. So these are the first two that ever came across.
You can knock on the door.
That
There's actually a bell next to the window there, right to
that
your
tried
right.
to stop, that tried to change these. So I'll continue looking.
Okay.
But that might be something that we need to change too.
I think the attorney at the annual meeting is the one that said that the legislative body could do this, even though you can't find RSAs. But the power of the legislative body is pretty
Yes,
encompassing.
Yes.
So, but the point is that we're going to write a warrant article that puts it back to the normal way of
Yes.
the governing body doing these things.
But is that covered under 6 amendments? Which is on the second page? Is that where that's addressed?
yes, they say that, it says that the commissioners may not amend this ordinance.
Just omit
Yeah.
that. In my
And
version, I
that's-
just took that out.
That's where I need to, verify that that is actually
Correct. Or,
right.
yeah.
All right, so we have authority covered, number one.
Yep.
Yep.
We move
Yep.
to number two, the purpose. Anybody have any comments or changes to the purpose?
No.
No,
Nope.
I thought the purpose was fine.
All right, so as far as the reorganization, we'll go through the current ordinance as it appears, and you will take a stab at reorganizing it if we're in agreement of what Dinah's saying to reorganize it.
Makes sense. Break up road and parking. I like that.
Do you have other comments now that we covered? I stopped because I wanted to cover authority before we moved on. You into number
She
three.
was good with authority, yeah,
I'm good with purpose.
and
Okay.
purpose, yeah.
You have more things you want to tell us?
Well, like 3.1, the maximum speed on the VDOE is
yep.
20 miles per hour.
You might as well just start getting
That's
into
a highway
it.
thing, so that would be on highway.
So I checked with the chief. You saw
An
The
email.
chief's response?
I did not see his
We did
response.
not.
Okay,
receive
so there was a
it.
previous chief, a couple of chiefs ago, that recommended at the time that Idlewild Drive to that Board of Commissioners be 25 miles an hour. The current chief thinks things have changed, that the density of the houses and the traffic, and the fact that there's foot traffic on Idlewild Drive, which we know,
Oh, yeah,
your feet are on it, and my feet are on it
and Hank's feet are on it.
daily. He's saying it should be 20 miles an hour, so
Oh, really?
I would personally say that it's a 20 mile an hour speed limit village-wide, except where it's posted for speed bumps at 15.
Right, and that's in the next one.
I
Yep,
like that.
yep.
So the maximum speed limit in the VDOE is
Will be
20 miles
20.
per- So that's fine.
Yep.
So that's not changing.
It will change the signs on Idlewild Drive. Maybe even add some extra ones to 20.
Yes.
So that's not 3-1?
Yep.
3-2?
3-1, yep.
3-2 is also highway, talking about,
Everybody.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you, Doug.
Take care,
Thanks for
Doug.
all that work.
the maximum speed 15 miles per hour from Idlewild Drive, Windigan Road intersection to Little Peaforge, Little Loop. And then the next, I forgot.
Isn't it 5 miles an hour where the bumps are? Aren't there
Yeah.
two yellow signs up?
Yeah, this 3.2 is just an error. There is no change to 15 miles when you get to Winnegon going around.
It does say 5 at the playground in the summer.
Yes, because that's where the speed bumps are.
Okay, well, I'm just mentioning that.
So do we want to reduce a defined section of Idlewild Drive to 5 miles per hour? I reworded it. I basically, for 3.2, in my version, I said, there's a 15 mile per hour speed limit on Idlewild Drive between Winnegon Road and Little Loop Road. This includes the entire curve of Idlewild Drive that passes Little Peaforge Pond and Boulder Beach. So I just wanted to define that portion better than it was in a previous version. I don't know if I did, but that was my crack at it. Are we now saying we should change that 15 down to 5?
They do put up a 5 miles limit sign at the flagpole area.
Which is right about Winnegon.
Right, well.
No,
It's past Winnegon.
it's past Winnegon.
Yeah, but it's pretty close overall.
Right, and then.
Winnegon's your,
That is because of the speed bumps they put in
Okay.
in the summertime. There's 2 speed bumps they put in front of Little Beach or Boulder Beach.
okay, well, we could say something like there is a 5 mile per hour speed limit on Idlewild Drive between the flagpole and take it as far as Little Loop Road, or I don't know how far we want to take that out.
And that's only when the speed bumps are in place.
Right,
Okay, so now we're talking about a speed limit when there are no speed bumps, and then a speed limit when there are speed bumps.
right.
So we'd have to have,
I would say the flagpole to Appinvale.
Why not leave it the way that it works, is that there's 2 signs and there's 2 places the speed bump goes in?
Mm-hmm.
And was this ever actually addressed in the ordinance? Did it need to be in the ordinance? Or does it just work?
I think
The signs don't mean anything, it's the bumps that make the speed
Right.
controlled there.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been.
Correct.
Bumps in this?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think this needs to be complicated. When you're out there, the signs and the bumps tell you
Right,
what's going on. Otherwise, it's 20 miles an hour everywhere.
correct.
Simple.
Okay, so I scratched that out.
okay, so that even includes when there's no speed bumps, because that's still a pretty,
Yep.
because,
And that's how fast people go around when there's speed bump. The speed bumps aren't there.
Uh-huh.
okay. All right, so you're just saying, just leave it at 20? And
Leave the ordinance saying it's 20 everywhere, and when you come to that section, you're gonna see yellow signs saying 5 miles an hour and warning you of speed bumps.
which is when the speed bumps are out. Okay,
It says
So
that.
section
3.2 can go
3.2
away.
would come off.
Right,
Completely.
I've
Okay.
already scratched it out.
All right, that works for me.
Okay?
The next one, I don't know what that means, but I imagine somebody does.
Oh, yeah. Nancy-
Yeah, I checked with Jeff and those are correct.
Okay, good. We'll leave that
Okay,
in. Number 4, 3.4, no parking is permitted on the roads between November 1st and April 1st.
all right,
Correct.
so this goes under the parking section.
No, that's highway, because this is highway. parking.
Well, I'd like to throw out, make it either all year round, or in my version, I put also between June 15th and September 15th, which is when the summertime, so that the roads are not used for people who don't, maybe in the future, should have parking permits for the beaches, and if they don't, they can't park on the road.
I would either leave it alone or make it all year round. I wouldn't break it up like that.
Okay, then I'm gonna propose that we say no personal vehicle parking is permitted on the roads at any time. And we can't extend that to work vehicles because they have to be on the road when they're doing work, but, people shouldn't be parking their
Either you can
vehicles
park on the
roads.
road or you can't.
Yeah, well,
So
Well, are you
you
designating
can't separate
commercial
out.
One at a time, one at a time, one at a
well,
time.
that's why I said personal vehicle,
Yeah,
as opposed to a,
That's gonna get messy. Or has the chance to get messy.
why can't you just say no parking is permitted on the roads?
We say no, there's no parking on the roads, and that's because the plows can't handle getting around cars that are stopped in the road.
Correct.
correct, but also even during the
Now,
non-winter.
if you want it year round, I could listen to all vehicles year round.
Well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying there's gonna be vehicles working on houses under construction, they're gonna be parking there for a while, not overnight. They don't do that. But they will be parked there for a while. But, I think the rationale is, there are some people who have a lot of people piling into the houses and they park their cars overnight,
Correct.
the overflow. And that could impede DPW work even during the summertime, the next day or the day after. And-
I think this forces them to call the office and tell me why you need to be parking on the road.
No, there's nothing in here that says anything about calling the office.
I'm surprised that you want people to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in general, all right, my opinion is no parking on the roads, period. Doesn't matter what vehicle, whatever. So if you've got movers coming or whatever it is,
So the overflow parking that happens at Geneva Beach in the summertime because there's no parking at the beach would not be allowed.
That's correct.
Correct.
They can't park out on,
There'd be no parking on Geneva
Middle Shore,
or
Geneva.
Middle Shore.
they can't park in the parking lot there in their SOL. And hopefully sometime down the road, we're gonna have a parking system for VDOE residents.
That's the only example I know that
yeah,
would be
Right.
an issue.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well, it happens at
Porridge
It happens
Shore.
at Tusis as well.
yep, it happens at Thusis. It happens at all the
It
beaches.
really happens at all the beaches.
Okay.
So, yeah, I, if we own the roads, why don't we say no parking on the roads, period?
On the
Yep.
roads, period.
Agreed.
Okay. That's,
Do you like that?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking about it, because,
I'm not liking it.
Why?
well, I don't like it either, and that's why I said, except for personal vehicles. Because there are gonna be time that work vehicles have to park on the road to do their work on the house, whatever they're doing. Simply Water, perfect example. They're gonna have to park their vehicles on the road, but
But that's-
it's
yeah,
a
but that's-
temporary,
that's-
it's a
yes,
temporary
it
thing,
is.
It's my
right?
sister's car, it's
It's
not my
not-
personal car. You get into, these have to be enforceable. I don't like
Right.
writing ordinances that aren't enforceable, don't have enforcement plans with them.
Right.
And we can barely enforce parking on the roads, not parking on the roads in the wintertime when there's a snowstorm. They're still running into people that wanna talk to them about why their pickup truck is parked in the way of the plow
Right.
during a blizzard. So, Parking around the beaches can be handled with signs, because we love signs. Not.
Now you're a sign nut, yeah.
So I'm leaning against not changing this right now, but I'm trying to figure out what the answer is for the beaches, because we want to be able to enforce that if we need to.
Well, And that's why I like Wooders then, if you're,
Well, that's the main reason I was thinking that, but even, nonetheless, it doesn't have to be by the beaches.
I'm gonna say that we don't change this now. That this proposal in 2025 at the annual meeting doesn't change this. We can always address this if the situation changes and becomes clearer, that we can enforce it year round.
Right. And I think if we had a parking permit situation for the beaches, then it would be enforceable. That these people are parking there intentionally because they do not have a proper permit
correct.
to park at the beaches, then we might want to think about restricting summer parking. But up until anything else happens, I think we should allow people to park in the summer.
Okay, so what we're saying is,
The thing that may change is the village isn't ready to go to restricted parking at the beach parking lots yet.
Right,
They've been at the borderline for 14 years,
right.
and it's gonna happen one day.
It will happen at some
at
point.
which point we revisit
It
the
could be the
ordinance.
summer of
Correct.
2025 says, that's it, we've had it, we want these beaches under our control.
Right,
And then we put parking regulations on the beaches, and we go back and change this.
right.
Okay, I can live with that.
Is it
Yeah.
fine?
Okay,
All right. So 3.5 is the Hutwell parking lot.
Okay,
We'll
so
skip that for
now we're moving into parking, right?
There's more parking on the next page, highway on the next page.
There's parking lots and then there's parking. We just discussed parking on roads.
Right,
Parking lots are a different animal.
Right.
I don't know if you want to break the ordinance up into,
well,
like you're saying, parking on roads goes in the road section and
Correct.
parking lots.
Yes.
So I
So-
say this is highway and parking lots ordinance. We changed the name of it.
we can skip
Highway,
down.
road, and parking.
parking lots
Highway
ordinance.
and parking lot ordinance.
Lot. Or Hutwell, highway and Hutwell, no,
No,
What?
There's lots.
This regulates all the parking
Park,
lots.
all the parking lots, yes, you're right,
Right.
you're right, you're right.
It makes particular use of
Okay.
Hotwell.
Okay,
As a, and otherwise Beach has its own category because it is part of the winter overflow parking system.
Yes,
I didn't know that. Till you told me. Okay, so we can skip down to 3.11 under highway
Well-
issues.
Okay.
No steel track vehicles are allowed on VDOE roads.
Well, we should stay in order. If you're not ready to talk about them, then we are. We're gonna look at 3.5.
Well, this would change to a general idea of we're not gonna allow parking in the Hutwell parking lot, except for emergencies.
So I did a poll on social media and got some feedback. And I'm looking at the enforcement of this and the realities of it. And weekends are a different animal than weekdays. If we just thought about the Hotwell parking lot as we do this.
mhm.
And one of the problems that we need to fix is the language in this that lets people park in the Hotwell parking lot for 30 days without any permit at all. That's what this ordinance does. And then the trick is, at the 30-day mark, you move the car.
You drive it
one
around
one
and bring it back.
space, and now you have another free 30 days of storage. Oh, you claim you moved it.
But all that's ridiculous in my mind.
Well, what I'm gonna propose is that you can park in the Hotwell parking lot for either 3 or 4 days, we can decide that. That covers a weekend. If you pull into the parking lot on a Friday night and your car dies and you need to leave it there until you can get help with it, then you don't need to notify the office for the 3 days of the weekend. It's a matter of whether you want to make it 4, that after 4 days of being in the parking lot, you have to call the office and get a permit to have it there any longer. So we'll go from 30 days to 4 days or 3 days. Let's pick 3 or 4. If you're,
Okay,
if
so
you
you're
like
moving
what
down to 3.8.
No,
No,
3.6.
3.6. Okay, I like 4 days.
And we're gonna measure that how?
So you're good with the 3.5?
we're gonna add temporary overnight parking for 4 days. If Nancy likes 4 days versus 3 days. If she
Yeah,
likes
4
this-
days is fine.
If you like this at all.
Yeah, I like
4 days for
4 days.
residents and their guests.
Yep.
No business or commercial vehicles or trailers may be parked in any VDOE parking lot except for the Hutwell parking lot.
Now, should the 4 days apply to the commercial and business vehicles?
No.
Why?
You don't want to restrict how long you can leave a construction trailer in the Hotwell parking lot?
Yeah,
You don't want to restrict that
I do. I don't think they should be there.
at all?
At all,
Right.
overnight.
Nope.
I'm not sure I agree with
I
that.
think you have to have them.
I mean, there's people
allowed.
having homes built, and those prefab homes have used the Hotwell for a couple of days until they can actually get it to the lot to put onto the foundation.
Well, that's another discussion is 2 halves of a house take up most of the Hotwell
It
parking
sure
lot.
does.
And once they have it in there, to enforce it, are we towing away a house?
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing that, but if we're saying 4 days, and it's gonna be more than 4 days, then they have to get the permit from us.
Yeah.
Regardless who they are, whether they're a commercial or personal vehicle. I think that's a highly unusual event, but it has happened, we've seen it.
Yeah, and they were delayed because of weather.
I think we need a section here that says if you're putting anything like that you need permission up front,
Okay,
that you can't even leave it there for a day without us saying okay.
so anything larger than,
Because if we don't break down summer and winter on this,
yeah, we need a winter breakout for sure,
for the Hubble parking lot.
yeah.
You're making it too complicated again.
That's another downside.
Mm-hmm.
This has been complicated for 20 years,
Right.
which is why we're still working on it today. It's never been resolved how to manage this.
I think you should take baby steps.
I think it should stay simple.
Yeah. No parking.
Well, wait a minute. If we just segment it into 2 categories, commercial business vehicles, and then private vehicles, which includes recreational craft trailers, boats, stuff like that.
No. Vehicles, not boats and trailers. I don't think they should.
But boats
be
and
allowed.
trailers, boats will be on trailers. Ski mobiles will be on trailers.
Well, none of that.
People will be parking there.
They
No, they won't.
have to,
Why?
because there really is, you're limiting their recreational,
If they
because
buy
they
a
have
snowmobile,
nowhere to put their trailer.
Why don't they have a place at home if they have?
There's, I'll tell you why. This has happened. Was a friend of mine? I couldn't. The roads were so bad, he could not get his truck and trailer with a snowmobiles on it up Jungfrau to his driveway. He had no choice but to park in Hutwell.
Well, that's an emergency,
Right.
isn't it? That's not, I'm gonna park my snowmobile here.
Yeah, but it's gonna
because
be there for the
convenient.
weekend.
Gotta let people finish speaking.
I think that's an emergency. We can allow for that.
Yeah. Okay.
But not just plunk your snowmobile trailer there for 4 months, like happened last spring and everything. There were boats and trailers there for 6, 7, 8 months.
Mhm.
And there were 12 of them when everybody finally decided to clean it up a little.
Okay, so I think to keep it simple, then, what we're saying is, doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a business with commercial vehicles or private owner with whatever, 4 days. Other than that, you have to get a permit for staying there
Well, in
longer.
a commercial vehicle, I have to park in our parking lot for 4 days.
Okay.
Most of them wouldn't.
Now,
Most of
yeah.
them
Well,
wouldn't.
let Jennifer say something,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think we're now getting it into the complicated part of it, where we're nitpicking and pulling out specifics, and we shouldn't do this. We should do the 4 days
For
and
everything.
leave it at that.
For everything.
Correct.
I like
Because
that,
now
that
you
keeps it
start
simple.
pulling, yeah,
I'm leaning that way.
yeah.
It keeps it simple.
Okay.
I mean, because the Lay's
Sure.
potato chip truck, that sometimes barks at Hutwell, not always, but sometimes there, I don't think, I've
Yes,
never
and it's
seen it
never there, it's never
But
there
it's
4
never
days
there, ever. Ever.
consecutively.
Right,
He's always managed that correctly.
That-
Right,
Correct.
That's the model of what works.
right.
right,
It's big,
right,
even further proving the point.
right.
I'll say, okay, so 3.5, we're gonna add the 4 days.
The 4 days is actually gonna be part of 3.6.
Yeah,
Okay.
as well, yeah.
So, as far as language is concerned, a sentence that says temporary overnight parking for residents and their guests. You notice that that doesn't say what, it says who.
Yeah,
It should say what. Their cars and trucks. I don't like the word personal. They own the cars and trucks, and then the next thing is business or commercial vehicles or trailers may park in the VDOE parking lot in any, I mean, what's that say? No business vehicles.
Yeah, but
may
it says they
park.
can in the Hutwell.
Right.
Except for Hutwell.
Yeah,
except for,
that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
Business and
it's-
commercial vehicles can park in,
So I'd like to see the first sentence specify the vehicles that the owners and guests can put in there. Not leave it vague,
well, I
as
try,
if anything that they own can go in there versus what business and commercials can do. That can be a twisted way of interpreting these two flimsy sentences.
well, I tried spelling that out in 3.6 by saying automobiles, trailers, pop-up campers, and RV campers belonging to or used by homeowners, the VDOE.
Gotta be simple. So the Hutwell parking lot can be used for temporary overnight parking for vehicles owned by residents and their guests. Vehicles. And if we need a definition section, we can say what vehicles are, but not put it into the ordinance so that it looks like 3.6,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't even want to read.
Okay,
So are we gonna keep the no business or commercial vehicle?
I haven't got there yet.
Oh, sorry.
so just use vehicles as a catch-all.
We define vehicles. And that's where your 3.6 can say what a vehicle is and what it isn't. It's not a camper. It's not a trailer. It's not a boat. It's not a snowmobile trailer. It's a SUV, a car, a truck, pickup truck, non-commercial, owned by residents and their guests.
So what you're telling me there, right there, is we're disallowing trailers with snowmobiles or motorcycles or bob houses or whatever on it.
No,
no,
not necessarily.
So we're gonna define that as well then.
You know what happened the last time I went to one of these?
In some cases, I think I've seen just trailers with nothing on the trailers parked there.
Yep.
You were there, right?
Okay, so 3.5, you're saying the Hutwell parking lot can be used for temporary overnight parking of vehicles for residents and their guests.
For up to 4 days for residents and their guests.
Yeah. Then the next sentence would be, no business or commercial vehicles or trailers may be parked in any VDOE parking lot except for the Hutwell parking lot, also up to 4 days. A 4-day standard is across the board.
So you're gonna allow business, commercial vehicles or trailers to park there for 4 days?
Up to
Yes.
4 days, yeah.
So in the first sentence, we will add the trailers for residents and their guests.
Mhm.
And would campers fall into that category? 4 days of residents and guests?
Are we on 3.6 now?
5.
Oh, we're still on 5?
So we're defining vehicles now? Because
On
I thought we were gonna
5?
say, the Hutwell parking lot can be used for temporary overnight parking
Of vehicles.
of vehicles for residents and their guests up to 4 days. No business or commercial vehicles or trailers may be parked in any VDOE parking lot except for the Hutwell parking lot, also up to 4 days.
Yes.
Then maybe we define in another section, personal vehicles include automobiles, SUVs, trailers, campers, whatever else you want to put into that. Basically anything with wheels. We don't want to say that because somebody will drag in something on skids.
They have. I'd like to use the example of that trailer we had to spend over $2,000 just to get rid of.
What was on the trailer?
No, it was a house trailer, single wide, full of junk. Dumped there with no license. And we had to take care of it.
Some of these RV campers are large.
Yeah, I've seen some large recreational vehicles in there.
Okay,
But
that's what you want, that's what you get.
we're giving them the option then of applying for a permit for longer term parking.
No, we're not. Why are we doing that?
Part of what's hurting us here is we're trying to make this work using the structure of this document.
Yeah.
Right,
And that's making it hard for us because we're trying to jam it into the existing sections and it needs to be totally reorganized.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
No, well, beyond breaking it into the category of roads and parking, within this subjects, it needs to start with a new structure.
Yeah.
Like the fact that what happens to that parking lot in the summertime is different than what happens to that parking lot in the wintertime. Got to the point that people didn't like the way that 12 trailers were taking up the whole parking lot all summer. Well, when they take it up all winter, now the parking lot has half the capacity it does to have cars be able to park there during a blizzard. Because they can't get up roads that they typically can get up
Yeah.
right,
in the middle of the storm.
right. And the whole purpose of the parking lot is overflow parking for emergencies in the winter so that people don't have to get up the hills.
Or get stuck on the
Or get
roads in
stuck.
front of the plows,
Right.
which was the big problem back in the 70s. When there were many fewer four-wheel drive vehicles owned by people.
Right.
Many fewer. It changed a little bit with four-wheel drive. But evidently a four-wheel drive can't pull a trailer up during a blizzard. Steep hill. So. Is it that we should stop looking at the structure of this document and say what we want to have happen and then restructure this document?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the only one who didn't say anything.
I think you're, well, I guess so. If you're gonna do it, then you're gonna do it all. Instead of trying to,
All right, so we're okay with 1 and 2, but, and we said 3 would be just roads, 4 would go on to parking. So organization's okay.
Well, there's some more
It's-
highway stuff near the end if you wanna really break it out.
It's just the specifics, especially as it pertains to parking on Hutwell.
Okay, so
I love
We-
everything that Wood'a wrote on 3.6.
Yeah, but we're doing away with the 30 days,
Except the 30 days.
which makes sense to me, so we don't have to worry. I was concerned about the people
Yeah, piling in and.
piling in and then moving, and then the 30 days
Coming back.
reset. So I'm saying that
Exactly.
they still have to take out a, anyway, I would just scrap all that. But then it comes back around, if the 4 days, basically what would you call that, that's your gimme, okay? That's your freebie. Now, for some reason, somebody has to, for whatever reasons, has to or wants to park their vehicle beyond 4 days. I was of the thought that then they have to apply for a permit. But you're saying no, if I heard you correctly.
Well, if it's a true emergency, they could contact the office and say, hey, my driveway just washed out, I can't park anything at my
Yeah,
house, so blah,
gotcha.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if you're just saying, I'm not coming up for another 2 weeks, so I'm gonna leave it there, that's not acceptable.
So the things that we've agreed on is the commissioners should be the ones that modify the ordinance going
Correct.
forward.
Yes.
And that we're limiting parking in the Hutwell parking lot and the Idlewise Drive parking lot for 4 days.
Yes.
And that's going to include owners and guests, cars, trucks, and recreational trailers, 4 days.
Yep.
Those RV campers.
We didn't
4
say that
days.
yet.
Okay.
You want to say a camper is a recreational vehicle, or you want it its own category with different restraints on it?
I think it's a recreational vehicle.
Yes,
So that,
it is.
that falls into, that simplifies it.
Yeah.
It's recreational vehicles for 4 days.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, without looking at the document, what are the other changes you know you want to make to this ordinance?
Okay.
We need
I
to
think-
talk about,
We
Notice.
already agreed that we're gonna wanna change this to, that the commissioners may amend this.
That was
Yeah.
my first.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the first one. And the other thing in here that I have marked out, is the monetary allocation, which was
You want to strike that.
yeah, I struck that.
Which was actually one of those unfortunate things that happened because it got passed, because this was given out that morning. Nobody ever looked at it prior to that. But anything that raises any money has to be discussed at a budget hearing. This was an illegal ordinance.
A warrant warns people to hide a money issue inside something else, which this did.
Yeah.
Is not what the warrant is supposed to be about.
Correct. Correct. It's actually an illegal amendment or change to, you know.
Yeah, it was only $200.
So you're striking
Well, wait a
7?
minute. the warrant article did go through the proper procedure of being submitted on to petition warrant article on time with the 10 requisite signatures. That did happen. So it should have been available to the public.
Was it on the warrant?
Oh, it was on the petition warrant articles, yeah.
Last year?
No, 2023.
Oh, 2023.
2023, the 10 signatures and the petition warrant article was all submitted on time, the one we're reading right now.
I think that if this wanted money, that this shouldn't have had the money request inside the ordinance.
Oh, I'm agreeing there.
It should have been broken out as a separate warrant article and say, this is to raise money to buy signs for this ordinance that you're about to vote on separately. So that when you're looking at the warrant posted in any form, you're seeing that
You see
broken
the
out by
money.
itself. Here's
Yes.
money.
Right.
I agree, that part
Right.
was done incorrectly.
Right, the money was not properly
I'm just suggesting
discussed.
you're saying that this was presented on the floor of the day, nobody read that. and
I'm thinking of this last year.
Yeah, no, this is 2023,
Okay.
You're thinking of the pond level.
yeah.
Okay, so if we're listing out things that I think should change, the fine for driving a steel track vehicle on itemized roads should be more than $100.
Should be 500.
So I'm gonna put number 3 that would like to change, because I heard you say something that I'll say louder, is that steel track vehicles on our roads should have a fine of $500. What do you think of that, Nancy?
Yep.
How about the next one, the overweight trucks?
That should match what Madison's is. Although we have a special issue is that our itemized drive is now recognized as a shortcut for
Correct.
construction vehicles.
Yep, coming through
Particularly
Conway.
From Coleman's to get to Rock House Mountain and the Out Hill Road section of Madison.
Yep.
And all the surrounding parts. So that's a police issue. And I'd say we need to make sure that these fines match what Madison's fines are, so the police aren't dealing with 2 different systems.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Anything else you know you wanted to change without making the change right now?
Same at the end, where it says the adopted 2023. There's been an ordinance in existence since the 80s. It has to show every prior revision. It's required. It's not a new ordinance. So just like at the beginning, you have to show all the amendments at the end.
Show all amendments going back to
The beginning
very
of time.
first.
The Abenaki Indians had,
Yes.
when the trail came through Ottawa, they
Right,
had
for
regulations.
their palominos. I still think we need to include a mechanism for people who, for whatever reasons, have to park their vehicle there longer than 4 days to get a permit for that.
So here's what I'm thinking about that is that Jennifer gets a call at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, 3:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. The commission has already met.
Yeah,
The administrator has the discretion of issuing a permit good through the next commissioners meeting. So they can stay there if she decides that it makes sense to let them stay there, and then the commissioners vote on whether it continues to stay there.
It's a good idea.
So she's not left with
What do I do?
an unanswered question until the next commissioners meeting.
but are we telling them how long they can stay there?
You will decide whether if it's a Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 that you get a request for a permit.
Yeah,
you would say, I'm gonna give you a temporary permit to cover you through next Tuesday's commissioners meeting, or if it happens to be on a Wednesday, then you say,
Yeah.
Next Wednesday,
Right.
the commissioners will let you know if you can stay there any longer.
Okay, and then you vote on it, and their request is to stay there for 20 days. You're gonna vote on that then?
Yes,
Okay,
then you don't have to decide on 20.
correct.
You're
Right.
only deciding whether they get to stay
Yep.
through the next commissioners
Just to
meeting.
cover through the next commissioners meeting.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And where did you find the scarf that
great.
matched the logo like that?
You know. That'd be the next thing.
So you like that?
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do.
That makes
But
perfect
do
sense.
we have to say this in here, other than,
No,
okay,
because they're gonna apply for a permit, that's when you tell them what
Correct.
your decision is and
exactly.
how this is gonna work.
Gotcha.
All right, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jim. Have a Merry Christmas. All right, Mike has to talk.
So,
You
are
got
we gonna basically put that there's a time limit on requests?
I appreciate it.
Or will they have to submit a new request every time this?
We get people asking
last
if they can
approved?
leave the thing there all summer.
No, well, we know
That's the
that.
kind of requests we get. We don't know what they're gonna request and why.
Usually it's 30 days, and then, you know, then,
It's too bad we got off on this 30-day thing
I know.
Yeah.
that it ever made it to the ordinance.
yeah.
Yep, it never should have been in
And
there.
everybody says 30 days. They
Okay.
call,
They
they
think,
just
they
say
think
30
it's 30 days. Even this morning, somebody sent me a message saying it's 30 days. And I said,
yeah.
no, it's not
No,
30 days.
it's not.
So, are you liking the way this is going? We have 19 minutes left.
Okay.
Wow, geez, that
And
went fast.
So are we gonna include verbiage in the ordinance that describes that process that you just discussed, or?
No,
No,
Okay,
you apply for a permit. Now Jennifer's calling the shot based on when you're asking for it, how long it is to the next commissioners meeting, that's what she's gonna be telling them.
right,
And then issue them a permit that gets them to the next commissioners meeting.
okay,
Correct.
then we have to include something in the ordinance that states that if you need more than 4 days, you have to ask for a permit through the VDOE office.
Yep.
As simple as that. And then, just as an aside, seems like we're gonna need to put signs, Mr. Sign Man,
More signs.
saying 4 days parking only.
What's it say now?
well, I still like what it has on it, when he continues, you know.
I would
This
forget all that.
notification is required, even if the automobile or recreational vehicle is taken off, Hot Wheel, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, there's another thing on there that says, that we're not responsible for anything that happens in the parking lot. That's
Right.
Yeah, correct.
So, 3.8, vehicles parked at the Hot Wheel lot in excess of the 4 consecutive days without notifying will be subject to removal. You still good with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
just change that to 4.
Three nine is owner's risk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
310 is any vehicle regardless of notification obtained may be removed. Okay with that?
Yeah, that gives us, if there was a fire going
Yeah,
towards
you need
to get
DPW
rid of
two, and we had to clear the parking lot, we could do it.
Here's where we go from,
back to,
go from parking lots to steel track vehicles
Yeah.
on roads.
right,
So,
Right, that goes back into highway.
yeah.
speed bumps, 313. This is where the 5 mile hour is spelled out.
Right,
That's back to roads again.
Yeah,
yep, that goes back to highway. And just as a little nit, it makes a comment in there that says, a sign suggesting a 5 mile an hour speed limit. It's not a suggestion.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know where that
the-
suggestion came from.
Yellow signs.
Where is this?
Yellow signs, I believe. are
Say
ju-
5 mile an
Are
hour.
just warnings, they're not like limits. Caution signs, for example.
Cautionary signs.
Warnings and caution signs, so this is kind of warning you that if you don't drive at 5 miles an hour, you could be bouncing your forehead off your own windshield when you hit the speed bump.
Where are you saying it's like a suggested? Where's that?
In 3.13, the last line says, cautionary signs will be posted to notify the use of the speed bumps and a sign suggesting a 5 mile an
Mine
hour.
says indicating. What does yours say? Where does suggesting come from? I don't know. Mine says indicating a 5 mile.
Looks like you might have changed indicating to suggesting. You have a question mark behind suggesting. Is yours not in color?
Okay.
It's, the suggesting word is in red.
Okay, my original didn't have the word indicating,
Wow. Jeez, what the heck?
so that's why I
Oh, somehow
question
it got changed, but
that.
Mine
But,
says indicating.
okay, so indicating is the correct
Okay.
term.
So where we're heading is that we list out the changes we wanted to make in general.
Yeah.
Then miraculously, a new version of this is drafted that reorganizes it into roads versus parking lots and incorporates the changes we want to make. And then we come back and address it in a meeting. But all the magic happens outside the meeting.
Yep.
I believe in magic.
Particularly at this time of year.
Okay, so getting to the form,
I want to finish talking about how the
Oh.
magic happens.
okay. I'll wait my
So
turn.
I can take a crack at reorganizing this and rewriting it as a draft to be ripped apart at the next meeting
All right,
to save us time during the meetings.
Okay.
well, I got my notes too, so if you submit it to me, I can,
You can do all the work.
yeah. Well,
It's
you know,
recorded. I got that on tape.
scratch that.
Cut.
Adjourned.
Take 2. Yeah. You like that idea?
Yeah.
Do we
Yes.
draft that?
Yeah.
So I did a little cutout that I found at the office. You
Yep.
can choose to ignore it.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't know if you read it.
No,
But
not yet.
it had other, apparently somebody.
Is that
um,
Mike Smith?
had, yeah,
Rip it up,
okay,
ancient history.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. What's this?
Yeah.
Mike Smith's name on it.
Okay.
Right, right.
I don't know, I just
Car
found
owned by
it.
someone outside the district would be allowed to park there for 30 days. Brilliant.
So
I'm sure he had people in mind.
I needed you guys to just see that,
Yep.
to see, you know.
How
Put
crazy
it in
it
the
is.
circular file.
Okay. All right, so do we want to move on to any potential changes to the
Form,
form itself?
and you have a copy of that with this package?
I did. It's probably stapled to the end of that. There you go. With line through it and all. So, I mean,
First of all, I don't see a telephone number jumping out at this. Oh,
Right.
Contact phone number under the signature.
yeah,
That would be mandatory.
or
again.
email. Could
Or
book both.
Both. Let's make that both. Because you're gonna need to get back to them.
You're
Yeah,
correct.
as a result
And
of the
I-
commissioners' meeting.
Yes, that's right.
Or they should actually be coming back to you,
Well,
because
yeah,
they don't have a
well,
permit
they-
anymore.
And most of the time, they don't know where the form is or whatever.
And do we want to say that if the vehicle isn't registered, that it can't be in there? I don't know if we do that anywhere in this.
I don't think you do.
A registered vehicle in your first thing would
Is it?
do it? No, I don't know. if it's
Oh,
registered
just a
as
statement
there.
about it?
So,
But, I mean, that would entail us having to call, I mean, so you're talking about, okay, it's
We
still
just
there
add-
after 4 days, no one's notified the office. What do? We could potentially tow it, right?
I imagine the police would like to see that the registration they're looking at is something they can
Correct.
track.
Right, so at the 4th day,
Mm-hmm,
if we hadn't received anything from them,
Right.
then that's when we would notify the police.
Correct.
That,
no?
no,
As soon as you see an unregistered vehicle, you're not giving them 4 days.
Well,
Oh,
we wouldn't know
oh.
it's unregistered. To me, it looks fine.
It says on the plate. We had an unregistered vehicle in there. That you,
Well, yeah, but
your
that was
favorite was
noticeable. That was-
Should we just
that
say
was-
no
that
unregistered
was a
vehicles are
paper-
permitted to park at Hartwell, period?
yeah, no unregistered vehicle should be anywhere,
Yeah.
because
to be honest with you.
it's, yeah, it could be abandoned day one.
Right,
And we don't want to wait 4 days to find out that it didn't have to be there.
right.
So do you
West
wanna make
Stockbrook.
that a first part of highway?
We'll
That'd be
figure
under
out how to
parking. That'd be under
organize it.
parking.
Huh?
That'd be under parking. No unregistered vehicles.
So
are
we're
permitted
just
to park.
talking about parking, like, I can take my unregistered vehicle and drive around VDOE?
That's not
Yeah.
our job.
That's not our
That's
job, that's a
police.
police
Gotcha.
issue.
Very good,
Parking lots are.
all right.
Back to your form. Do you cover everything you want to talk about with the form? I guess
Yeah.
little issues like description, construction vehicle, trailer,
Yeah,
need to,
vehicle type. You want color? You know, size,
well,
Snow covered.
the plate is the identifier for us.
yeah.
You need color if it's a moving vehicle, you can't read the plate on it.
Should we change the title of this to Hartwell Parking Lot Excess Time Request Form? Because that's the only time it'd be used if somebody has to be there more than 4 days.
No, you could leave it right as it is.
Okay?
It's
Okay.
a parking
Yeah.
request form.
Yep,
Just gotta remember, people are not,
Smart.
if you don't spell it out for them, sometimes
well,
it's
no,
just,
they'll take advantage of it as
Exactly.
well.
I'm trying to tie up any loopholes.
Right.
Okay, so
So contact phone
description,
number's down here, but I'm gonna move it up. Under name.
description, that's where we're gonna add,
In email,
In email, yeah.
move it up.
the plate
Well, down here is
number
the,
or whatever.
yeah, first the description
License
of the
plate number.
vehicle,
Okay,
then the actual plate number and state of issuance.
yep, okay.
Then the periods requested. And so, in the case that Mark said, Jennifer has the discretion to say automatically, we can let you stay there until the next Board of Commissioners meeting. But still fill out this form.
Correct.
If you need more time than that, from that date of that meeting to whenever.
Then she
Right.
knows what she's asking the commissioners to approve.
And this would be submitted to
Correct.
us, so we could discuss it
So-
and vote on it.
On the
Yep.
bottom of this, it
So you
says,
wanted-
please include your registration.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, before we get away from that is,
Mm-hmm.
do you want a separate space for where you're approving the short-term permit? Do you want a place that you can write that?
no, I think that that's just gonna be.
Be on the
an
form you give
em-
them, the
Correct.
permit you give them?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, at the bottom, it has the approval.
5 minutes left.
Should be
Okay,
Board
now-
of Commissioners approval, BOC approval, or?
Should
It's got
have,
3 lines and a date.
maybe the approval gets taken off there because the permit is the approval, and she's deciding what the permit's gonna say,
Right.
based on the circumstance.
Right, but then it's voted.
You thinking a separate permit
Mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
issued for that? Okay.
correct.
Does it look the same, or it's a different permit?
It'll be the same.
So do you want the approval and date to stay on this?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So I'm just concerned about people, not including the registration and proof of residency. That's usually hard to come by.
Well, I think the license plate number,
Yeah?
the description and the license plate number is really the big thing.
Right. And I can always look them up, but
wanna
providing the
take vehicle
VDOE.
Yeah, I think we can take
Registration off
vehicle
this?
registration and proof of
Yes.
residency off.
Thank you.
So that's
I
two
agree.
of us that said that. You okay with that, Nancy?
You wanna take the proof of
If
registration
they're
off?
calling her, how are they gonna show her the vehicle registration, the proof of residency? Proof
I
of
can look
residency.
up proof of residency. I can figure out who's that is.
Yeah,
And if it's a renter or somebody, let's talk about that. I'm a full-time renter here.
If they're full-time, they have all the same rights as any other registered voter.
And how do I validate that?
It's the short-term people that.
Okay, should we add their address, whether they're a homeowner or the address of the place that they're renting? So in other words, whatever, here it is, VDOE address, it's already there, VDOE address
Right.
of,
Right, but if I'm validating
77.
proof of whatever, I don't have the renter's address. I don't have any of his information at all, except for this.
Right, and that's where you also have the possibility that somebody would put an unregistered vehicle there.
Correct.
If
Do they have
there's
to come in the
no,
office to do this?
No, I have scanned these and sent them to people.
okay,
And
so,
Because they
Send them
could show you
back.
their license if they came into the office, and you could make a copy of it.
Most of the time, they're not coming into the office.
That's why I asked if they're
Okay.
coming in, and you like to keep it that way. They don't have to come in.
right,
okay, so, does this make sense? Name of VDOE address and add primary address if applicable. So if it's not, they're not.
If they're on
full-
vacation?
Right, if they're at a vacation home, this is the place they're renting, but their actual primary residence is, somewhere in,
And that's okay. But
Massachusetts.
here's the thing, they're putting their name, Joe Schmo, at a VDOE address.
right.
They're not the owner, they're a renter.
Right, that's why they should include, if that's the case, their actual primary address.
That is their actual primary address, because they live there.
They
They rent
here it says
from a
VDOE address.
VDOE owner of that property, they're renting that property,
Long term.
Talking full-time.
long-term.
Right.
Yeah, full-time.
Well, they should have everything up full-time, that's.
I'm wondering if there should be a spot for VDOE owner, if different from the name above or something. If I have to validate,
You're gonna contact the owner?
well,
The database doesn't have phone numbers,
right.
what database?
the tax database.
But my water system does. My billing system usually does, or an
They're
email
not ours.
address. Huh?
They are the owner. You're right. I don't know. I have some good news to tell you before you adjourn.
Good. We like to hear good news as opposed
You
to
got the
bad
check.
news.
Good.
What? Yay!
No, I don't have the check.
Oh.
But you know when it's
I'm gonna
coming.
get it on Tuesday.
Oh,
Nice.
Good.
what does Tuesday fall on?
It's
It is
New
gonna
Year's
be
Eve. It's
very-
Christmas Eve.
Oh, it's
Christmas
Christmas
Eve.
Eve.
Yep.
So anyway, back.
Okay.
So wait, what if somebody is renting, let's say, for 1 month, okay? And they need to use the Hutwell parking lot and do this, but
Right.
shouldn't we also know what their primary address is,
I-
just in case?
Personally, I believe the owner of the property should be completing this form
That's not,
on their Well, then you can have any person call up and use our parking lot temporarily because they know somebody and they jot down their address, sign it, and send it back to me. I mean,
All right, so let's, you're right, let's not complicate it, just put their VDOE address.
yeah. Right, and if it doesn't match,
As
his
long as,
name
as
doesn't
long as we have a
match.
license plate and state number, state and the license plate number, we have something to track them,
Right, I mean,
track them down.
I think the big thing is the 4 days, and we could tow your car away after 4 days if you didn't,
We're gonna
Get in
have
touch
to-
with
We're
somebody.
gonna have to have signs.
yeah, more signs.
Yeah, we'll just be taking the old ones off and putting up a new one
Yeah,
Yeah,
that changes the duration.
Motion to adjourn.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye. Never-
Thank you, Carol.
Never vote nay on that.
boy, we did it.